Look back and go and kill kids down. Lord, we can't take it no more. Nobody woman you give me before. Lord, we can't take it no more. God, I regret to the store. The first girl gone and them say for my fault. And the rest of them wanna do it to us all. If we just come and just give what you said.
Well, welcome to the Marcia Week Show. Lord, we can't take it no more.
Only that alone can make me feel fine. Only that knows that we really need help, and the reason why we are crying, you know what can we say? Lord, we can't take it no more. Everybody wanna give me the phone. Lord, we can't give it no more. Lord, we can't take it no more. Lord, we can't.
Listen, we can't take it no more. We can't take it no more. We can't take it no more. We cannot take it anymore. Good night. Good night. You are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. Barbados to the world, Barbados to the region. And tonight we are saying we can't take it anymore in Barbados. We have the corruption. We are dealing with high food prices that we can't get food to buy, no chicken. Oh, the other day was no milk on the shelf. Listen, we are tired of the bad government. And I tell you, it's not just Barbados, but we're talking about Guyana, Jamaica, all over. We can't take it no more. Anybody remember that song? Good evening, everybody. Vernon Garnes, good evening, it's me. Good evening, it's me. Judy Jilks, good evening. Mildred Ben, good evening. Cecilia Miller, how you doing, Cecilia? Good evening, Marcia. Good evening, Nigel Carrington. Good evening. Are we ready for a great show tonight? We are going to have a magnificent show tonight. Jacqueline, Aline, you ready for the education? Jefferson Sobers, are you ready for the motivation? Teroni, you ready? You ready for the agitation? Joy and Faith, yes. Owen Hines, this is the Marcia Week Show, where we educate, we motivate, we mobilize, we agitate right here on the Marcia Week Show. We're going to ask you to share, like, and to subscribe. Have you subscribed as yet? When you subscribe, you're going to, you're going to get that notification. All right. That's wonderful. Dale Warrell, what am I saying? Lemuel Tall, good night. Good night. How is everybody doing? How many of you know that song, Lord, we can't take it no more? How many of you, you weren't always in church and you know that song? And that song is a song that's coming out of Jamaica, and it was very popular back in the day. And basically, that's what we are saying in Barbados. When we see the level of corruption, when we see all that is happening here in this beautiful country, all the, the land being sold off, the agricultural land being, they're now building houses on the agricultural land. We can't even find enough food to eat. And that's what they're doing. So that's what we're saying, Lord, we can't take it no more. Anybody remember that song? Dave, give us a little bit more of that song. Just 20 more seconds, 20 seconds of that song while people are joining. Yes. Marcia say, I know it. Yes, Papa San. Yes. Yes, go ahead, a little bit, and then we go to the anthem. We can't take it no more. Corruption.
Lord, we can't take it no more. Give me money, woman, and give me before. Lord, we can't take it no more. Because we can't take it behind them. At the hop, I get the credit girl with some. Lord, we don't take it before.
We can't take it no more. We can't take it anymore. We can't take it anymore. Anybody fed up to here? Listen, you're up to here. You're fed up to here. We can't take it no more. We can't take it no more. We want a change. We want a change. Yes, man, listen, we want a change. We can't take this no more. Barbados, we're saying we can't take it no more. Yes, we can't take it no more. Yes, let's go right into the national anthem. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we can't take it anymore. But we're gonna go right into the national anthem, and we're gonna talk tonight. We're gonna have a talk tonight. You hear? Because we need to get ourselves up and not get comfortable. We can't allow ourselves to become comfortable. So let's stand for the singing, for the playing of the national anthem. Yes, strict guardians of our heritage, strict guardians. That's who we are. That's who we are. And we are saying tonight we are tired. We are tired of all of the corruption. We are tired of the lies. We are tired of the broken promises. We are tired. Anybody else out there tired? Anybody else out there tired? So for those of you who are just joining, we're going to give you a little piece more of that song. If Dave has it, just a few more seconds of that song. The Papa Sang song said, tired, we're tired, we are tired. We don't know, you don't know what to believe. Every day is something else. Every day. Anybody ready for a change? Who out there ready for a change? Yes. Let's hear a little bit about Papa Sang.
Can't take it no more. Give me my woman like I did before. Lord, we can't take it no more. I can't fight it behind them. After half I go take girl with sound. Love everything and then take it for fun. Then we come back and we got time to blast so much. You can't let me show no money now, girl. Searching for a girl and we can't get none. When we find one, just so we have to pay down. No, me confused, I mean, I know if it done, and I'm going to come back and go and look, it's done. Lord, you can't take it no more. Even the woman when you give me before. Lord, you can't
Take it no more. Listen. It's a serious thing, you know. This is a serious thing that is happening. As Dale Worrell saying, I am telling you, some of their own supporters can't take another term of this government. Some of their own supporters cannot take it. You understand me? People who are not, even the ones that they are die hard, they know the suffering. I'm talking to people with businesses that have had to close down their business. Talking to chicken farmers today, right? When we get to that point, we're going to talk about it. I mean, these people that I can't find one thing. Can you tell me one policy or one initiative that they have done and they have taken from start to finish and it has worked in Barbados? Can somebody tell me? One initiative. Go ahead and write it. One initiative that they have started, this present government has started from beginning to end. And they have completed it. And we are satisfied. We look and we see the big monstrosity right there in the middle of town. Oh, how many millions of dollars for it? Yes, they completed that. But then right underneath it, people are sleeping and they're homeless and nobody on drugs. They just don't have anywhere to live. Yeah? Not one. Right? Not one. And I'm saying to Barbadians, it is time. It is time. And plus the level of corruption. The level of corruption in this government. And we're going to talk about that tonight. The connection of this government with criminals in this country. Some of these cases that you see can't get solved. They can't get solved because some of these same politicians, are connected with the criminals. So I've been saying this on the show, and I'm telling you, this is a fact. I'm not going to come in here and talk things that's made up. I'm telling you of a fact. There are close ties with politicians and criminals, bad men, gunmen. Why you think some of them are so bold and they can come on Facebook with long guns? Why do you think that people can go and shoot up a place in Barbados? Small Barbados. And no, you can't hear anything from the police about it? Anybody ever stop and ask themselves that question? And we want to talk tonight. Tonight I want to open up the phone lines again. Right? We want to open up the phone lines again tonight, but we want to talk. I want us to have a conversation about this situation and this corruption that is happening. You're going to tell me that we're here in Barbados. I'm going to talk about it a little later, but I want you to stick around because we're going to look at this connection that is there with the politician and the criminals. We're back at that again because my phone doesn't stop ringing. Politicians that they have a little ring, a pedophile ring going on in this country, sleeping with the little young boys and giving them little work to do because children are hungry. You believe that because you are in charge of a community, right? A constituency, you can rape off the little boys. Listen, we're coming for you, all of you. All of you gonna get exposed. All of you going to get exposed because this phone don't stop ringing because of the injustices that you are committing in this country. And then you get up in your big rides and put on your big suits and act as though we must bow down to you with all of your perverseness, your nastiness, the corruption. It stinks to the highest of heavens. But we're going to get back to that later in the show. Later in the show at 7:30, we have a lawyer coming in, Miss Amaya Walton Desir. She's an attorney and a politician from Guyana, and she's coming to talk to us about the governance in Guyana. Right? And after that, I'm gonna tell you how far our BAJAN Diddy reach. Our BAJAN Diddy all over this Caribbean, name calling our BAJAN Diddy. The BAJAN Diddy that we have here, when that thing uncover, let me tell you something, it's going to make the real Diddy in the US look like nothing. Keep praying, believers. Keep praying. Because this Diddy here, you hear, the higher the monkey climb, the more his tail exposed. The tail of this BAJAN Diddy going to be exposed, and it's going to carry on so much with them. Yeah. That's what's going to happen. And I tell you, people are getting courage. People who a whole year ago did not want to speak, scared, they're speaking up now. All of you, you're going to see. Keep praying, prayer warriors. Keep praying. Keep praying, I tell you, prayer warriors. We're going to deal with that later on in the show. Let me now deal with a young girl. There's a young girl. Stay with me, Barbados. Stay with me. But we are going to do this together. And don't worry, I'm not going to defame anybody. And don't worry, I know you all get worried when I get this way. I know I'm smart. I believe I know what I'm doing. And so on. And I have people, if I'm going a little over, they will message me. And I'm going to do my best tonight to share as much as I can share with you, so that I can still have the show. But I'm telling you that there are some things that are about to uncover in this country. And that BAJAN Diddy, they're behind going to be exposed to the whole world to see. The whole world. You want to travel the world? You want to travel the world? Well, your whole behind going to expose over the whole world now. Because everybody going to see your nastiness. That's what's going to happen. Pray, people. Pray. You pray for me on the show tonight. Those of you who know to pray. Those of you who know to pray, because my ears, the things that I heard in my ears today. Pray for me, please. Pray for me. Pray for Barbados. Pray for the exposure. Pray for truth and righteousness. Righteousness exalts a nation, and sin is a reproach to any people. That was the first thing that Mr. Thorne did when he was in office. And some of you don't like me to call Mr. Thorne, but I have to, because he was one of those sounding that alarm of the nastiness, the perversion. There is a perversion, a nasty smell that is coming up. And that is what he was alluding to when he was speaking. The nasty smell, the perversion that is happening right across this nation. And it comes from the head and it comes down, and that's why you're seeing the country the way that it is. But guess what? You all went and voted that perversion in, remember? So why are you surprised now? Why are you surprised that the BAJAN did it behind opening up wide and everybody seeing everything? Why are you so surprised? Listen, pray for me tonight because I can't talk everything because I don't, some of the victims, you can't talk everything because you don't want them to, for them to go back and finish them off. But let me tell you something, guys. And you know, when I come and I sit in this chair, I've done my research. You know that. Let me go to this young lady here that needs help, because one of the things that we try to do is to encourage that Bajan spirit. Okay, and so let me just calm down a little as you pray for me tonight. Pray for me tonight, guys. The Bajan spirit. There's a young lady and young girl and her dad. They're trying to raise money for her. I believe Winston had come on the show and told us about this. And as we normally do, because we are Barbadians, that's what we are, and we carry the Bajan spirit. And so we're standing in solidarity with this father, with this young baby girl here, and with her parents and her siblings, right? And so what I want us to do is we're just going to play the video right now, okay? And let us and see. I'm going to ask everybody if you can help this child. It's only money. It's only a quarter million. It's only $250,000. But that's how you see that sweet little girl there, right? But it's only money. We can raise that. That's nothing. We built a big monstrosity full of right there in the middle of town for millions. 250,000 is nothing. Okay, Dave, play it, please.
Time is running out for 7-year-old Amaya Holmes Yearwood to get a liver transplant. But her father, Ryan Yearwood, who is struggling to make ends meet, cannot finance the estimated $250,000 procedure in Colombia. With Amaya sitting on his lap, struggling to hold back his tears, Mr. Yearwood says it's difficult watching the health of his child who is battling end stage liver disease deteriorate. He says he is hopeful Amaya, who has spent most of her life thus far being sick, gets help.
Right now, her last time she went into the hospital for stool blood in her stools, and she got some blood transfusion, two blood transfusion done, esophageal scope where the scope went through her throat, where they could go down and see what's going on in there. And they were saying, well, there's bleeding, slight bleeding, so they try to ban, but they could only do so much. And they find that her stomach area is really bloated, and it's getting harder and painful, a little more painful for her at times when she has to move around and stuff.
The father of five says his daughter, who often tells him that she just wants to get better to play, attend school on a regular basis, and do what other children do, was diagnosed with the health condition at 11 weeks old. He says doctors have informed him that they can only treat Amaya's symptoms as best as they possibly can until she receives the transplant.
The doctors have said that she would have, they might not have made it to at least 3 years old, but she's defying the odds and she's fighting on because she says she wants to live and she wants to be a nurse or a doctor that she can help people.
The family has approached the QEH in the past for assistance.
We would like her to get at least a little GoFundMe going on, something that would help bring in some funds that we could get our passports and stuff in order so that she could get a chance, even if we could go there in Colombia.
Amaya lost her mother, Sharianne Holmes, to a severe asthma attack last December, as well as her 9-month-old sister earlier that year. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Hmm. Oh my, what a sadness, but what an opportunity for hope. What a hopeful situation as well, because it's liver disease that can be fixed. If you look at her eyes, how yellow they are, and she was diagnosed at 11 months old. She's 5 years old, and all Amaya wants to do is to play. And everybody that's watching, just think about your own child. just think about your own child, and let's see in what way that we can help. I believe that we have um, the information that you can go straight to the father, right? And thing. And I see Angelo is saying that even if it's by office, that we can break it down. What we can do, Angela, I'm going to reach out to you. We can do is to find out exactly. I didn't see, gentle people, if there was a GoFundMe. Is there a GoFundMe? Because with the GoFundMe, what's good about it is that you can actually see how much you have raised. I know a lot of you have been following this. This was, I think this happened when I was out of the country. So I wasn't aware of it until somebody brought it to my attention on Monday night. So we want to follow this situation. And as good Barbadians, as you know, we carry the BAJAN spirit. We want to see how we can help. So if anybody knows how we can track how much she has raised already, so that each night that we come, we can let you know and we can see how we can break it down. I agree with you, Angela. We can break it down. You know, $250,000 is nothing. Nothing. Think about it. How much money has been wasted in it? This country, when they talk with this government, when they talk about monies, they're talking millions. Remember that? Not quarter million. This is quarter of a million. This all of that that you see in the middle of town out there with the iron and all of that that they say is to replace Nelson, wasn't that about $3 million? That's six, or it's not six, probably about how much time? More than 6 times, right? Probably 12 times what they need. This is what I'm telling you. When you put things in context, do you understand? One person in here can write that check. One company can write that check for that child in this country. I'm telling you, one company could write that check. And if one company can't do it, several of us can put together. Yeah? Correct. Even if every Bajan gave $1, it's supposed to be 280,000 of us here. So if somebody can help me to find out, can we work together? I don't have to do all the research, right? Somebody help me, man. Find out how much they have already. Is there a GoFundMe? How can we verify? I like to verify what we're doing. So that we're doing the right thing. Is there who are we? Let's see. Yes, you're right. In fact, you're right, Queen Bee. It's sickening to tell the Vice Cartel is getting $750,000, probably to sing for 45 minutes. This is a baby girl. She's 5. She just wants to play. And she needs $250,000. A third of what is going to be given to Vibes Cartel. Yeah? So, yeah, that is correct. So, Angela, you can message me, Angela. You have my number. Let me fully understand what you're saying. I think you're onto something there. Seems like you're saying to us that we could organize by office and to break it down by offices. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. That's something that we could look into. I don't have all the answers. We do it together. We're the loyal opposition, and we work together and we make it happen together as a team of people. All right. So, Angela, yes, Cami is helping us to get that refrigerator for the for the lady. Okay. So we're looking for another refrigerator. Cami, we chatted, and he's working that out for us to get it. The other one who needed the stove and the refrigerator, those are going to be delivered, I believe, by tomorrow. So again, I just like to come on and to thank everybody for what you are doing to make everything, to take care of each other. That's what we have to do. Nobody is coming to our rescue. We are our rescue. It's us. We are our rescue. It's from us. So I want to encourage us, um, yes, yes. Sorry, I'm reading because people are writing me about the little girl. Okay. Actually, before we move on, let's say a prayer for Amaya. There is the power of prayer, and we can say a prayer. Yeah. So let's take a moment and let's say while we wait on our guests from Guyana, let's just say a prayer for Amaya. Father, we pray for Amaya right now. We thank you that you're a God who heals. We pray over her. She's only 5 years old, and you've heard her. She wants to play. She's lost her mother. She has a wonderful father. We pray you will strengthen the father. Put your hand around him, Lord, and lift up his hands. Lift up his hands, Lord, and encourage him today. And we just pray that he'll be able to get up more than what he needs, and that they will be comfortable. They can get their airfare, and they can be comfortable, and have pocket money to money to take care of a hotel and their food and what they need, so that everything for her will be taken care of. I declare Amaya is your daughter. She's your baby girl, God, and that you're going to heal her. And I just put her in your hands, Father. Thank you, Lord. Amen. God bless you, Amaya. God bless you. Yes. I'm reading your comments. Okay, Angela is saying that at National Insurance Office, if there was a cause, we would agree to pay in a sum, each person at the cash point to raise the funds at a cashier in the office on an agreed day for the particular cause. I see. I see. So we can chat more about that, because that might be something that people can do. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. That might be something that can happen. So I know that you would think someone wrote me here and saying, hello, Marcia, government has a medical aid scheme run by the Minister of Health to assist with cases that cannot be done in Barbados. Ask the father if he knows of it and if the ministry has been approached yet. Yes, yes, yes. Barbara Lovell, people like yourself, if you message me, we will have all the information for the father. So it's 1-246-236-7000. 246-236-7000. Okay? Yeah. So you can message me if you're overseas and you would want to help. We are also continuing to raise continue to focus on Nelson Street and Wellington Street. And so we're going to have an event there in December for the children. And we are still collecting. We've received some toys already. As you prepare for Christmas, I'm asking you to buy a toy, buy something special for a child in Nelson Street and Wellington Street, please. We want to make it a happy, happy, happy time for them in that community. A lot of children in there. That's where a lot of the homes in that specific part of Wellington Street was gutted out by fire. And Nelson Street is where those children experienced that trauma, where we had the first mass shooting in Barbados. And we want to just pour love on them. So I want you, as you think about this Christmas, it's easy for us to spend three, four, 500, $1,000 on ourselves. Vibes Cartel is coming up, and some of you are going to go to that event, and you will spend, all, 700, $5,000 on hair, makeup, clothes. Yeah, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? The money is there. It's how we spend it. And so I'm asking you from early. November hasn't come yet. but I'm asking you from early to remember a child in Nelson Street, and you can just buy the toy. If you're traveling, you can buy the toy, stick it in your bag, and you bring it down. Buy something for a child. We're dealing with all the children at Nelson Street and Wellington Street at Christmas time. We're planning to block the street off and do a nice Christmas party for the children. Okay, so whenever I come on, we're going to continue to talk about it. I want to thank those from overseas that have started to send gifts for the children already. I have a bag inside with that people are sending stuff. And I really appreciate that very, very much. Okay. So continue and let's just yes. Yes, Aurora. I agree. I'm a believer in that, Aurora. And that's why, yes, I believe so. I believe that once it's sorted out properly, then the money will flow. I agree. I believe that. I believe that. I'm a believer in that. That once it's sorted out, the money we're going to see the money flowing for that child. And I promise you, by the grace of God, I'll come back on with more details and to see what the structure is so that we know how it's going. You know what I mean? And once that is done, then that is when then we know that it's going to be organized. Guys, I'm going to ask you to share. Coming up in about 2 minutes, we have a wonderful young lady from Guyana who is going to be coming on to talk to us about governance in Guyana. Well, Guyana is our sister country. And well, our prime minister, for other reasons, she is claiming she's they're brothers and sister, that the president of Guyana and her. But we are in solidarity with the people of Guyana. That's what we stand in solidarity with, the people of Guyana, because we know the atrocities of this government of Guyana. All right, so we are in solidarity with the people of Guyana. All right. So I wanted to share, right? I wanted to like and to share as our guest gets ready to come on. Everybody, if you haven't done so yet, those in Guyana who are watching, somebody said we and Guyana, we're cousins. We're talking about the people, not the government. All right. So we want you to like and share. Come on, guys, like and share so that the algorithm will respond kindly to us. If you're from Guyana, this is a good time to do that. All right. Like and share. Like and share. She's coming on right now. So like and share, people. Yes, are we doing that? Facebook, YouTube. Her bio is so long, but we are just going to just read a few things, right, in this bio. She's the Honorable Amanza O.R. Watson Desir, and she's a member of Parliament of the Parliament of Guyana. Amanza Desir is a prominent figure in Guyana's political landscape, renowned for her unwavering advocacy for social and economic justice. She's been in the legal profession for the past 20 years. And I tell you that, I would see her all the time on social media. She doesn't know, but I've watched her several times on social media. She was highly recommended to us by Rickford Burke, and commended her for the great work that she's doing. And you're familiar with Honorable Coretta MacDonald. And so if you didn't believe Honorable Coretta MacDonald of what's happening in Guyana, you now have Honorable Amaza Walton Desir. And as a member of Parliament and Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Amanza continues to champion diplomacy and global management. Okay. So she's going to come to us tonight, and she's an advocate for the working class and for just all whatever that's happening in Guyana with poor people, basically. So let's welcome Miss Amanza Walton Desir. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Marcia. Thank you for having me. Good evening to you and to your viewers.
It's a real honor to have you here with us. And as I said, I have watched you. I have watched you advocate on behalf of women, single women. I've seen you. I've seen you in Parliament. And I've been watching you for about 2, 3 years now, actually.
Oh,
So it's a
wow.
real honor to have you on. And we're accustomed to Honorable Coretta McDonald. And so it's great to meet another strong female from Guyana. So,
Uh,
what's happening in Guyana?
well, where do we start? Where do we start? There's a lot happening. We're certainly now front and center on the world stage as the newest petrostate.
Mhm,
We see, of course, in the international media, a lot of um, grand plans and a lot of propaganda and very carefully curated messages that would
mhm,
suggest that all is well in Guyana and that we are on the up and up. And certainly by the traditional metrics of the fastest growing economy, etc.
mhm.
Um, the numbers give a certain indication, but I'm
Right.
always very clear about the reality on the ground, and what you see in the social media, what you see in the public space, certainly is a distant reality as it relates to the life of the average Guyanese, of the ordinary hardworking Guyanese, and their ability to participate in all of this fastest growing economy. There's a
Mhm,
clear disconnect between the quality of life of our Guyanese citizens and all that you see in the media. And so, my role, of course, as a member of parliament, and particularly one that shadows foreign affairs and international cooperation, is to really make sure that people understand what is happening on the ground, what the reality is, and what the ordinary Guyanese continues to face. So there's a serious disparity between what is said internationally and, of course, the images that you see internationally, and the suffering and the hunger, actually, of a lot of people. And of course, what I'm saying is borne out by numbers.
mhm.
Recent reports have said that over 50% of Guyanese are food insecure. Um,
What's the percentage?
Over 50%
Mm,
are food insecure. Inflation is running away, and of course, that has a direct impact on
mhm.
the lives of Guyanese. And then, of course, there is the breakdown of our democratic institutions.
But
And even
before you go on, honorable, ma'am, I want to. You talked about the propaganda
Mhm.
that is, we are receiving outside of Guyana, because when you think about it, you're hearing about all the oil,
Mhm.
and what we hear, we're hearing that every Guyanese is going to get what's it, $100,000
Yes.
dollars, and so
Yes.
on, and whether they are in Guyana, if they, whether they're even citizens. It seems
Mhm.
like once you're a resident, you're going to get all of this money. It sounds good. So can you break down for us what give us the average lifestyle of a Guyanese? What does that look like?
So the minimum wage in Guyana for a public servant is anywhere in the vicinity of 400 US dollars per month.
Per
And
month?
per month.
Wow.
Yes.
Even
And
with all the oil, was that
even,
before or this is
no, no,
now?
no, this is now. This is now. And in fact, it is now because between 2015 and 2020,
Mm-hmm.
the then APNU AFC government actually increased public servant salaries somewhere in the vicinity of about 90%.
Mm-hmm.
So the life for the average Guyanese without oil was markedly better under the previous administration. And these are by all the
How is
objective,
that?
because it's a question of management, and it's a question of having a government now that prioritizes concrete over care, and buildings over people, and roads over um, a real um, investment in the people of Guyana. And so that is what you're seeing. So when you drill down, you realize that behind, like I said, this very carefully curated picture, there's a lot of muck, and you see a lot of initiatives that are not well thought out, because this so $100,000 is like 500 US dollars. Let's just use that as a flat fee. At first, the president here finally went to the National Assembly and made a grand announcement that every household was going to get the equivalent of 200,000 Guyana dollars, which is 1,000 US thereabouts.
Oh,
So
okay. So it's two. So it's a
no, no, no,
thousand.
no, 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 no. It's now at 500 US dollars. So he went
Hold
to
a
the
minute. It's only
no, no, no,
500 US
no,
dollars.
Marcia, let me tell you the story, no man. So 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 when the National Assembly reconvened in October of this year, he went to make his ceremonial address and made a grand announcement that instantaneously, and I quote him here, every Guyanese household will receive a one-off cash grant of $200,000. I know, of course, everybody was up um, about it, and the international media was carrying that Guyanese are participating in the oil wealth, etc. And then the reality of the implementation of this sunk in, because we were asking, what is the definition of a household?
Mm,
What is the definition of a household? And what is the mechanism or the approach built in to make sure that there is the equitable distribution and participation of this,
right.
of the Guyanese citizenry in this? And then it began to sink in further that if I have a household by whatever metric they define a household, let's assume that it is people living in a house and eating out of all eating out of one pot. Just assume that. So you have a household of 10 persons, ranging 18, 20, still living at home with parents, etc. And then you had a household with 2 persons in it. You see the inequity,
Yes.
because it means that that one 200,000 has to be divided among 10 people in a house, adult
Mhm.
Guyanese citizens, possibly tax-paying Guyanese citizens. So after the opposition began to say, well, okay, this clearly has not been thought out. And then what is your distribution mechanism?
Mhm.
They didn't have an answer. So a week later, or yeah, just about a week later, Irfan Ali came back to the people of Guyana and said, oh, they've revised it. And they are now giving every Guyanese citizen above the age of 18 500 US dollars.
So every guy, but I want you to pause there, Honorable
Uh-huh.
Amaya. Pause right there, and I
Uh-huh.
want Barbadians to listen carefully to what this young woman is saying to us about what this attorney is saying to us of what's happening in Guyana and see the similarities. You're following the fact that this was announced. They did not think about it, enough, plan it out. It wasn't thought out properly. Sounds familiar? In addition to that, I want us to notice that it was the goodly opposition. They have a strong opposition in Guyana, and they are the ones that caused them to go back to the drawing board. So when you hear Mr. Thorne, the lone opposition in the House speaking, support him because you need opposition. How large is your opposition in Guyana?
Well, the government of Guyana holds power by a one-seat majority.
Mm,
So they do not have an overwhelming mandate by any stretch of the imagination. But of
mm,
course, because of our very winner takes all system,
yes.
they're able to get away with a lot, because of they have one seat in the National Assembly, and they're willing to use that one seat to drive whatever the government's agenda is, irrespective of how ill thought out it is. And so
Mhm.
Guyana is suffering from a lack of good governance. There is not a sober, temperate approach to the management of this oil wealth. And the sad reality is that we are going by the way of a number of countries that have discovered oil, and instead of being better off for it, found themselves worse off. One would have thought that with the plethora of examples in the world today of what not to do, that the government of Guyana, Irfan Ali's government, would have made a concerted effort to avoid those pitfalls. I mean, there are a million of us in this country, not yet a million. The last census pegs us at under 800,000.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no reason why there is such poverty in the midst of all of the plenty. There is no reason why Guyanese children are still going to bed hungry. And let me tell you what bothers me about it, Marcia. Irfan
Yeah.
Ali does not get to traipse around the Caribbean, around CARICOM, and present himself as some sort of champion. He's presenting himself as a champion of food security when Guyanese continue to be food insecure. When Guyanese cannot afford basic food items. I'm talking about the ordinary hardworking Guyanese, not the elites that seem to be the only class of people enjoying the largesse of this oil wealth. So he does not get to traipse around CARICOM and present himself as a champion of some sort, because he is not. Because charity begins at home. And you cannot teach to CARICOM about food security and your own people are food insecure. It is hypocrisy. You cannot preach to CARICOM about our Haitian brothers and sisters. When Irfan Ali's government's first order of business was to revoke visa-free travel for Haitians to Guyana, he does not get to do that.
But I mean, I hear. I mean, aren't they trying to get Venezuelans to come to Guyana now?
Well, they're not trying to get Venezuelans to come to Guyana. Venezuelans are coming to Guyana because our western border is porous. It is absolutely porous. And so the government has seen this as an opportunity to integrate Venezuelans into our society. Now, let me be clear. We owe economic migrants certain duties, and they have certain rights in accordance with the international legal order. Their human dignity, their legal rights, their human rights have to be upheld and preserved. They're entitled to the full protection of the law. Those are not negotiables. And so I want to make that very clear. But we cannot ignore the fact that there is a deep-seated, genuine belief that our Essequibo, which is 2/3 of our country, belongs to them. An erroneous belief, but a belief nonetheless. And so it is not a situation that we could treat like any other economic migrant, because you can understand the implications of political integration into our system, because nothing stops a situation where they come in, are integrated, and then by the process of self-determination, decided they want to be governed by Venezuela. And then where does that leave us? So
Right.
the point that I'm making is that there's so much happening geopolitically here. There's a lot going on, and there is not that sober, temperate approach to the government that we had hoped to see, that would see every Guyanese benefiting from the oil wealth. Our teachers, believe it or not, are still the most poorly paid teachers in the Caribbean, second only to Haiti.
You serious?
I am very serious. And even with the increases that they have gotten, they're still.
But Honorable Amanzo, you know what is bothering me? I mean, our Prime Minister, Mia Motley, is, she's a champion of people's rights, and she's all over the world, and the UN and the UN, pushing UN sustainable goals, etc. And I've not heard her brought up any issues about what's happening in Guyana. None of the issues in Guyana. I mean, the very fact that Guyana would not welcome Haitians but are welcoming Venezuelans.
And look, while I my stated position is that I don't comment on the internal affairs of other nations, this information is out there because the David Granger led administration was the first country in CARICOM to implement, in accordance with the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, visa-free travel for Haitians.
Oh.
We did it.
And they revoked it, and they
And it
now
was the
revoked it.
first order of business to revoke it.
My God.
And
So
then
where are the Pan-Africanists? This is the thing about, I don't understand.
Look,
Ms.
it's
Amanda.
not even about Pan-Africanism as it is about the fact that you have the audacity, you have the unmitigated gall to revoke visa-free travel for Haitians, and then you stand on a CARICOM platform to talk about the rights of Haitians. And these are the things that we have to continue to expose, because Irfan Ali does not get to present himself as a champion of Haitians in CARICOM when he is victimizing Haitians, when he has, by the act of assenting to an order that revokes visa-free travel for Haitians, by that very act, acted against the people of Haiti. Because it is not a case where they were pouring in here. It is not a case where, it could not be monitored and managed. And so, this is this is a conversation that we have to continue to have. So
I'm just in shock to believe that in this day and age that we're not hearing the other CARICOM leaders speaking about this. This is something that this sounds to me like discrimination. This sounds to me like what the Black Guyanese are facing in Guyana. Is it that they don't want to blacken up Guyana?
look,
I'm asking.
let me say this. One could not be faulted if they came to that conclusion based on the evidence before us. One couldn't be faulted if they came to that conclusion, because look, and then when you measure that against the utterances of, for example, recent utterances by the Minister of Culture, who said to the head of and one of our foremost artists in this country and the head of the Yearwood School of Arts that he's not the face of what they want their ministry to look like. Now, this is a Afro-Guyanese like me, a man by the name of Mr. Thom, one of the best sculptors that we've ever produced.
What's his name? How do you spell his name? Let's see if we could find his picture. How do you spell his name?
Mr. Thom, Thom.
Thom.
Yes.
A Guyanese sculptor.
Yes. Yes. He is the head of the Barbados School of Art. And so, so he was racially profiled. He was verbally abused by the Minister of Culture, and he resigned. He tendered his resignation. Barajagdio came out and said, "Oh, he spoke with the man, and tried to make amends about it, and encouraged him to return." But
so
when
it wasn't anything to do with his work, just the way he looked.
No, well, more than likely, based on the utterances of the young Minister of Culture, and so and it's distressing for me that, because Guyana is a very racially polarized country, and so it's very disturbing for me. It's very disturbing for me to.
Is that him?
Yes, that's Mr. Thom. It's very disturbing for me to hear somebody at the helm of culture that has the potential to unite us as a people, given how fractured we are, utter those sentiments. And so I've been very clear in my call for his resignation. I have been very clear in my call for him to be removed from heading culture, because he is too divisive a figure to do that. So, and Marcia, this is why programs such as yours are important. Your programs are important because it allows us a platform to come on here and to expose the nonsense that is happening in Guyana, and to let people know what is really happening. Because the other point that you must note is that the media, state
Mhm.
media. The opposition does not have access to the state media. None.
Barbados, are you listening to this? This is why the Marcia Week show exists. So the opposition can come on the show. So when you see Mr. Thorne come on, let this be a teaching moment for Barbados. We're giving him a platform. Do you understand? It's not siding with any party, but the opposition must have a platform. Here it is. That the honorable Amanza, she's saying to us that they don't have, the opposition does not have a platform, a media
Right.
platform.
So the,
In,
yeah,
in the,
so the government controls state media, and
yes,
um, and we do not have access to it. So we depend heavily on social media. We depend on um, those members of the media that are courageous enough to carry our dissenting views. But it is really unfortunate because, of course, the national media is funded by taxpayers' dollars.
yes. It's the
So
same here. It's the same
So
here.
these are some of the these are, and I've just touched on the tip of the iceberg.
This
When
is
we talk about corruption, we talk about the complete breakdown of law and order.
I
Right?
want to hear about that in the next couple of minutes that we have. I want you to
Yeah.
talk because then we see some of that on that was the first time we saw that something was wrong there when there was a US media company that went there and did some investigative journalism,
Mm,
and they were able to uncover some of the
yeah.
corruption that was happening
Right.
there
Right.
with your
There's no
vice
less a
president.
person than the second vice president of the country.
Yes. So can you tell us what's going on there?
Well, again, like I started off by asking you, where do we start?
Mm,
Because the country is so mired in corruption that it's affecting now um, investment. Look, we have an ongoing scandal right now with our police force. Law and
yes.
order has so irretrievably broken down that we have a serving police, senior police, and assistant police commissioner before the courts on 240 counts, amounting to some 800 million Guyana dollars thereabouts, for monies that you can't account for. Bribery, corruption, all of it. You have a situation where the commissioner of police's office has indicated that yes, they received gifts from business people, monetary gifts for this man's wedding. So,
Mm-hmm.
so there's
Yes.
a complete breakdown of order. The things that should alarm any democratic society, they're happening here daily, and the government is doing its level best with its propaganda
Mm,
to cover that. But again, as opposition MPs, we have a duty to speak up when this is happening. So it's a conspiracy of all kinds of negative circumstances that are currently happening here. And
yes.
so,
Right. That's the
something is
story there. That Brutus,
absolutely,
right. We were, yes.
absolutely, something is rotten in poor Georgetown, and the world has to know, and they have to understand, because the only time that this PPPC administration even attempts to act properly is when the eyes of the world are upon them and they are embarrassed into taking corrective action.
Wow. This is I am so grateful and thankful that you could just come on and to confirm and to also educate us on some of the things that we were not aware of, and to break it down in such a clear and concise manner, because Honorable Coretta McDonald, she's going to be on Friday, because
Mhm.
when we say we're cousins, and we're going to use this platform, I promise you, ma'am, to
Right.
keep this issue and what's happening, the true story of what's going
Absolutely.
on in Guyana, in our faces, and we can never say we did not know. And we need
Absolutely.
to hold our leaders accountable within CARICOM. Like our leader, how could you? How could you be inviting him here, the president here, with no discussion about what is happening to our black brothers and sisters in Guyana?
And
What is happening?
I
Yeah.
will say, I will say this as well. Um, what we are finding now is that historically, the Afro Guyanese has been disadvantaged. When you look at um, the ending of slavery, the fact that they had to buy lands, when you look at the ending of indentured servitude, etc., the way those two institutions ended and what it created in terms of economics.
Hmm.
Um, you have seen through history uh, the inequitable
Yes.
distribution of Guyana's wealth. And what you're finding now is that that inequity continues in terms of the treatment of the Afro Guyanese. However,
Hmm.
there also are Indo Guyanese brothers and sisters who are suffering just as badly. And so it is
Yes.
slowly mutating. It is mutating out of an issue of race to one of class,
Class. Yes.
right?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
our we have Indo Guyanese brothers and sisters that are suffering just as badly under this administration. The difficulty that we have as Guyanese is to see whether the commonality of our interests uh, are enough to unite us in a
Hmm.
common struggle for equity
Right.
and justice in Guyana, or whether we will continue to separate into our enclaves when the rubber reaches the road. And I think that is the true test that lies ahead of us. Are we as a people going to rise up and determine that we want a country with strong institutions, with a strong police force, with a strong judiciary, with a strong healthcare system, or whether we will continue to really eat those bitter fruits that were planted, in our society so long ago by people who had a vested interest in keeping us divided. So, that really is the challenge
Yeah, yeah.
that lies
I
ahead of
like how you put that, because I believe from speaking also with Honorable Coretta McDonald,
Mhm.
we recognize that it's not just against Black people, but they're seeing a class thing that is
us.
happening.
Absolutely.
Where yes, because there are some Indo Guyanese that are really, really, in that bracket as well, and not
Absolutely. And
yeah.
facing terrible victimization when they speak out. We have the case of a young man from Region 3 who he has been very clear. An Indo-Guyanese young man has been very clear in his criticism
Mm.
of the government, and he imported fruits, etc. Last week they revoked his importation license without any probable cause
Anyway,
or
right.
justification.
He probably spoke up about something,
No,
or they
he
don't have.
continuously spoke up about the way in which they were awarding contracts, the way in which
Ah,
they were allocating resources. He was very loud in his advocacy for the equal distribution of wealth. He was upset about the fact that they were discriminating against who he saw to be his Guyanese brothers and sisters. So he was made to pay. So it's a problem, and my hope continues to be in the people of Guyana. My hope continues to be that we could really rise up and understand, one, as a people, what we are entitled to, the
mhm.
fact that we are entitled to participate fully in this economy, the fact that this oil wealth does not belong to Irfan Ali and his friends and families and associates. And that leaders in CARICOM as well will understand that they have a duty to pay
Mhm,
attention to these things,
mhm.
to take heed, and to be fraternal enough to be honest with their fellow leaders and to say, hey, you're going wrong here. This is not, acceptable, because I think then we will begin to see um, stronger countries, stronger CARICOM countries, and a stronger CARICOM bloc. Uh,
Yes, agree.
And so I think, we have some challenges ahead of us,
Yeah.
but the indomitable spirit of our Caribbean people, of our Guyanese people, of our Barbadian people, of our Antiguan brothers and sisters will have to triumph to get us through this successfully.
Yes. As we close this evening, but I know that this is a relationship that we hope we will, we can engender and keep it going, because I think the education is important. People are just like, wow.
Yes.
I saw people literally wrote in the comment section, wow, and they're getting the confirmation that would have come from Honorable Coretta McDonald,
Right.
Richard Burke, and everybody. I
Absolutely.
mean,
Yeah.
I would love to be able to chat with you on your cybercrime bill another time, but
Yeah.
I want you
That is a bill that we have to repeal
yes. So the next time that you come on,
very,
which
very quickly.
I hope is next week before we go to Washington, I'm going to tell you some things about us going to Washington with a hearing. We've been called, to do to submit some concerns about our cybercrime bill in Washington, to through a UN agency there. So I'm going to talk to you about that. But you issued a little not you spoke to the leaders in CARICOM, you spoke to the Guyanese, Guyanese citizens. What do you want to say to to us, the citizens, not the leaders? What is the takeaway you want us to have from this conversation? The citizens of the Caribbean, people who are listening. What's the final thing you want to say to us?
That our leaders do as much as we allow them to. That the power really does lie with the people,
Mm,
and that we have to guard against those that would divide us for their own agendas. I'm proud to be a member of the party of Forbes Burnham, who admonished us that it is either we integrate or perish.
hmm,
I want to say to us that we have a duty to the people of Haiti. I want to
hmm.
say to us that we have the ability in and ourselves to solve our problems, but we have to come to some realizations, and we have to put aside some egos for our good, because there's struggles that we are facing that are so common. Your prime minister, to her credit, talks a lot about climate change, and it is something that affects us as a region, and the possibility that our very livelihoods could be wiped out if we do not take certain action is a very
And
clear
and
indication.
the operative word there is talk, because we live here and we know otherwise.
Well, like you live there, like I live here. So
Yes,
so 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 we have to be mindful as a people, that we have to rise up and we have to hold our leaders accountable, and we have to understand the power of our vote and use it. And
yes,
I think then and only then we will begin to see that true Caribbean spirit, and the CARICOM spirit, that it was intended to, when it was founded so many years ago by those leaders that had vision, that
hmm,
admonished us, it's either we integrate or we perish. um, that we could really rise up and live that out, because we're not doing that right now. CARICOM has to recalibrate, it has to be re-engineered, to really realize that vision of Caribbean integration. Much
yes,
has been accomplished, but we could be farther along.
yes, yes. Well, thank you so much, Honorable Amanza, for being on with us tonight, educating us and encouraging us. And I really love that last piece there, that how you spoke to us as Caribbean people, to
Mm,
understand who we are and
yeah.
what to expect of our leaders. Very, very well presented tonight. And I'm going to be
Thank
reaching
you.
out to you about the cybercrime bill. Okay. God
Anytime,
bless you.
Marcia. Thank you for having me, and God bless you. God
Yes,
bless
God
you,
bless.
listeners.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, this time I like, wait, look, I'm back and go and kill kids down. Lord, we can't take it no more.
Oh
Everybody,
God, we can't take it no more. Throughout the
Lord, we
Caribbean,
can't take it no more. God, I regret to live.
we can't take it no more. I tell you, I tell you, I tell you. Listen, Mr. James Paul, welcome to the Marcia Week Show, sir. You're
Good night.
muted.
Yes, good night.
Yes.
Good night. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Marcia. Good night, everyone.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. And tonight we are happy to see you because you know we love chicken. You know we love chicken. And at first they told us that there was no chicken shortage. Today I spoke to small farmers. I'm coming at you straight tonight because we want chicken to eat.
No problem.
Christmas coming, Independence, Christmas. Mr. Paul, James Paul, what is happening? The small farmers told me a couple of them have closed down because they don't have enough chicks that they can buy. And a lot of them, the mortality rate is so high.
Mhm.
No chicken on the shelves. What's going on, Mr. James Paul?
Okay, what I can say is this. Marcia, we have placed to date an increased number
Mhm.
of chicks over last year.
What are you
Um,
saying to me?
in
When
other
you say
words,
we,
normally,
explain to me.
I would say the industry. The
Mhm.
industry has placed an increased number of birds over last year.
Mhm.
We normally do 10 million birds per year in terms of, that's in average over the years we know.
Yes.
Once or twice we've gone to 11 million. But we are now on track to do over 11 million birds this year. Okay?
Mhm.
So, in other words, the industry has accounted for an expected increase in demand. However,
Uh-huh.
look at some unusual factors this year. And I think that's where we need to start. Despite the fact that the industry has placed an increased number of birds, in other words, the hatcheries have increased the amount. And we started out the year with only two hatcheries.
Yes.
We now have an additional hatchery, which is three hatcheries.
Okay, because I know that one of them actually closed down at the in last year. So you now have three. That one is replaced,
Yes, that has been replaced. So in
and you
other
have
words,
okay. So
we have
there's Gale, and there is one in St. Lucie, and where's the next one?
there was always Chickmont. You forget Chickmont, which is that is below where Pinnacle Feeds is.
Right,
There,
Chickmont. Yes.
Chickmont. There's Gales, and now there is one called Hatchanai, okay, which is
Mm-hmm.
in St. George. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So we have three hatcheries. In other words, there is increased hatching capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So you have more eggs being hatched. The point, though, that we need to recognize is that there were some challenges this year. And I would say that, for instance, what we are seeing now are from eggs that would have been placed into those incubators 10 weeks ago, at least 10 weeks ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And as I would wish to indicate, we first of all did as an industry what we were supposed to do by trying to ensure that we have increased capacity to
Yes.
account for any increase in demand. So this concept, sometimes we hear people, the industry has not been irresponsible. What we did, what we don't know is that, as anything else, what the yields would have likely to be. Because
Okay.
the yields, of course, will be impacted by different things, whether or not the chicks, in terms of growing, had any symptoms of stress that would have affected the growth rates, the performance.
Right.
Okay, things such as these. What I would also say is this too: we have a reporting system within the industry that gathers information on the performance of the farmers. In other words, this is what we would call statistical information that we gather. And from all that we have gathered, we didn't really receive any reports at all recently that there's likely to be any problem. What
Mm-hmm.
what I think really that's coming to light now is that, of course, there seems to be a problem. And the whole thing about the supermarket shelves being empty, let's understand. The
Right.
supermarkets already had established suppliers of poultry, which is usually the big suppliers, such as the chick ones. Of course, we have also to people such as the Marcadons. We have also to the Fason Foods. Okay, so these are the major suppliers. Before, for instance, Star Chick was inside there, but Star Chick, of course, they went on an unfortunate times and they were forced to close. Right. So we have the
Right.
big suppliers, right? And of course, we also have chicken stock, which is again another supplier that is there, another processor that is also there. And then we have the smaller growers at the same time. What I think, to my mind, is inexplicable is the fact that where it is accustomed that the bigger players are usually in the supermarkets, and you tend to find, for instance, that the smaller players, they actually, the smaller players, the smaller producers, usually have the other markets. I heard the exhortation that the smaller players now need to step forward. It means then really that what we are seeing now is basically a problem where there seems to be having a problem in the industry. Maybe the growth rates were not as expected overall in the industry. There were some issues. I don't know what they are, and therefore we're saying what we're looking at now. What?
So,
Yes.
Mister, before you go any further, so
Mhm.
let's kind of summarize what you're saying. You're saying that the farmers, they had enough eggs to be hatched. That is not that, as far as your concern and your to your knowledge, that it has to do with the development of the eggs to chicks to chicken, right?
Precisely.
So that's where there's a breakdown there in terms of the mortality rate, and we're not sure of exactly, is there a particular
So,
disease? Is it the feed? We
mhm.
don't know what it is, right? Is that
But
what you're saying?
you mentioned something there interesting. Because I know sometimes from time to time in the industry, you get reports about mortality, but that is one indicator that we do not collect information consistently as to
Uh-huh.
what mortality rates are. And the thing is really that we get information, yes, on the chicks hatched, right? But in terms of mortality, in other words, I think what we need to do now is to have a system that actually reports on the level of mortality so that, for instance, we should have a situation where a direct system where farmers can actually report directly into database as to if there's any mortality, what is the level of the mortality that they experience. So that is the only way then we will have a true indicator as to
Yes.
what is likely to be available by the end of the growth period. Or, for instance, if they're experiencing, for instance, slow growth rates, because if you have the necessary tools on your farm, you can actually measure growth rates and see whether or not growth rates are where they should be or growth
Hmm.
rates are slowing down. So it is these kind of metrics that probably we need to put in place to be able to give a better, in terms of the status of the crop of chickens as they move along, what is the status at the different stages, and whether or not there's likely to be any future impact on the market. That I
Right.
may we don't have.
Because I'm hearing, I've spoken to some of the fast food
Mhm.
chains, and I realized that KFC, they don't have a problem at the moment because they grow their own, right? They grow their own, so they supply themselves, right? They grow their own chickens. But like Chefette and especially Chicken Barn, I was told that Chicken Barn, last weekend some of their stores had to be closed, and they're thinking that they have to close
Hold
again.
on, you have to be careful here.
Mm.
Chicken barn? You mean Chefette's chicken barn? Because there's a chicken
No, no,
barn.
no. Let me clarify. Let me
Thank you
clarify.
very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Let me clarify. I'm
Mhm.
saying Chefette as a company that they probably are going to face some problems as well because they don't grow their own as KFC, right?
Hold on, but Marcia, we don't know that because I mean I have not heard anything from the management of Chefette that suggests that there's going to be a problem.
Okay, let me say, thanks for that correction.
Mhm.
That what we do know is that Chefette does not grow their own chickens. Am I
Right, but
correct in saying that?
correct. But I would say
Okay, so we
again,
leave it at that. We leave
thank
it
you.
at that.
That's
Okay.
right.
I know though that some of Chicken Barn's stores were closed over the weekend. That's facts, right?
Well, that is a different establishment. Remember that.
I know. So that's a chicken barn, not chef at chicken bar, chicken barn. Right.
Correct.
Right. And we know that's a fact. So that is not, that those are facts. And
Mhm.
our hope is that they will be able to be open for the next, couple of weeks or whenever. Because the challenge is that they don't grow their own. But what I've also found is that there are quite a number of small farmers, chicken farmers, that throughout between, they were telling me between last November to now that they have closed down, because what they're saying is that when they go to buy the chicks, they might ask for 250, they can only get 100. And they're thinking, Mr. Paul, is that the hatcheries are favoring the larger businesses. That's what they're telling me.
But let me just say, in fact, I want to go back to clarify two things.
Mm-hmm.
One, in respect of chicken burn, for instance, of course, remember that they would have, I think the ability to ensure that you have consistent supplies of the commodity depends on the supply arrangement that you have with the individual suppliers. And what I can say it has been shown is that depending on the supplier arrangement, you are able to maintain consistent supplies. That is it, and that is clear because, for instance, the fact that some stores, some fast food enterprises have maintained consistent supplies and others have not indicates it depends on the supply arrangement. And
Yes.
again, you see, I hate to use that word that begins with the S, which is called shortage. And I think we have to be careful. And I want to make that clear from the very outset that we do not panic our consumers
Mm-hmm.
into thinking that there is a general shortage problem. Clearly, there is not a general shortage problem. It
What
might
are
be,
you saying clearly when I'm saying this? And I want.
in other words, when I say that, there are some entities and consumers that still have access to chicken. We have to admit that. It is not a case where generally across Barbados is no chicken.
But
It-
why
it-
is it? I hope, Mister. Listen,
no, no, but can you accept that as a point? Can you
I
accept that?
don't know yet. I don't know yet. You know why I'm going to ask you.
Master,
But
the reason.
Mr. Paul, wait. Then can I give you my experience, and not just mine, but I know it will be the experience
Go
of
ahead.
a lot of people on here, so that you can explain to us why we're having this experience. But our experience, because I went to get chicken because we had a little party for Mr. Maxine McLean, and I almost did not get any chicken.
But you said
And
you
we were
almost,
calling.
hold on, you used, hear the words that you used. You almost did not get any, but you got some. Go
I
ahead.
got some from my small farmer who, when I called him today, I wanted some more chicken to eat. And I
Mhm.
called him today and he did not have any. And we called another place and they did not have any. And
See, but
then someone sent me the picture. They put back up the picture because this is what we are experiencing. You might be able to help us to
Marcy,
understand.
all I am saying, it is that there might be a challenge in meeting all. Okay, you understand that picture is there, but you do not put up, for instance, I can show you another picture that came in today,
Yes.
okay, that indicated that there was some poultry on the supermarket shelf. Okay, so that's fine, but all I am saying is that let us not place emphasis on the completely empty shelves, but there are instances where poultry is going onto the shelves. But what I'm saying, and going back to the whole question, I'm very fearful of that word shortage, is that let us not induce a panic to
Yes,
think
I
or make,
understand that.
right,
Yeah.
to make consumers think that somehow this thing is bad. So every time you see it go on, you just snatch it off because we have to be careful of that. Because I
Yes.
assure you,
Yes.
the issue really is this, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe the supplies are not adequate to meet every demand, but I assure you,
Mm-hmm.
from the reports that I have received from producers, they are saying within another week or so, you will see a substantial difference. Because there was a problem in terms of, we have been experiencing intense heat in this period, right? Where, for instance, growth rates have been impacted on the
Yes.
part of the birds, right? So we are hoping as the generational thing happens, as new birds come in place, the same issues that the previous birds, okay, experience, okay, they will not at least they will not happen. So you got back into your regular cycle where you can meet that weekly demand. And so I
So, so,
just want
so,
to make sure.
so is it that you're saying, okay, be careful how we use the word shortage? And I do understand what you're saying. We have to be responsible, which is why you see I put a question mark there. I don't want to make it a statement.
That's
But
right.
what are you saying that it is that we might not get the amount that we want, but there is
Mhm.
chicken there? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Correct.
And we might
Correct.
not get the size because one supplier was saying that sometimes the chickens, what's happening now because they're not maturing well, that you would get like 2 pounds chickens. You're not getting the right size, and I see that in the supermarket. You can't tell me I don't see that.
No,
That the
I'm not.
tiny.
No, I am not. I could trust your eyes. I will always trust your eyes. I'm not mistaken. Okay, so I agree. But the point is really, yes, there are challenges, but the industry is carefully working through those challenges to get back up to speed. We are going through a bump. I admit that we are going through a bump, but it does not mean that we need to then amplify that bump to make it seem like a mountain, okay? And that
Yeah.
there's that huge difficulty, and that is the essential point I want to make at this time.
Yes, and I think you have made it, and that's a responsible way to look at it because at the end of the day, you don't want to rush on. People start to stack up, and you know how we can be. Now,
Yes.
what can I ask you this? Is it true, sir, that the government will be importing chickens next week?
As I understand it, I believe I heard something about chicken being imported. I
Yes,
believe I
I
heard.
heard from a very good source, and
Okay,
I could
okay.
tell you, I hear that 4 containers of chickens will be imported next week.
Let me just say this, and you know the position of the Barbados Agriculture Society on imports and the BPP, right? We have to exercise great
Mhm.
care whenever we enter into discussing about importation. And I
When we
know
enter into what? I didn't hear the last thing.
when we seek to import, okay? Because the
Uh-huh.
system before was that whenever we were going to import, we consult with all players in the industry, both large and small, to get a better assessment of the true status of the industry. Right?
Hmm.
In fact, let me give you a further history. Prior to what is happening now,
Hmm.
what we call this was a committee in the Ministry of Agriculture called the Poultry and Egg Production and Marketing Committee. That committee met
Yes.
sometimes on a quarterly or bi-monthly basis, depending on necessity, and brought together all the players, all the stakeholders in the industry to
Hmm.
form an assessment, first of all, as to the current status of the industry, and then to assess whether or not the current capacity of the industry allowed it to adequately satisfy consumer demand. Right? The problem, I believe, really is this. And that committee, by the way, did not meet with the minister in attendance. What you had is a situation where a technical officer from the ministry would assemble
Hmm.
the players, which included your supermarkets, you included your
Mm.
processors, you
Yes.
included infrastructure, you included your health people, because, for instance, the Ministry of Health plays a critical role in terms of monitoring your processors. You included your vet people. In other words, anyone who interacted with the industry in some way was included in that committee, along with, of course, the farmers. All of both large and small BS was there, and we will also try to include certain farmers that we felt had capacity. So we got then on a bi-monthly basis or quarterly basis an assessment
Ah.
as what the
Hmm.
capacity of the industry, and then if there were any likely issues or problems arising, okay, they will be reported. The other point I wish to make when it comes to that is that we were also buttressed in terms of decision making by a system in which the hatcheries reported information to the BPPA, the commodity group of the BAS, on the number of chicks hatched on a monthly basis, right?
Yes.
that information, okay,
Uh-huh.
we had some, I would say, issues. I was just use the word issues, in which basically, and it was shared among everybody on, say, our on the BEPPA board, and then of course it goes to the BS, to the ministry, etc. And so, in other words, I would want to say that that information was still deficient, because I would say that, for instance, we just spoke about the fact that we need to also collect data on deaths. Okay,
Yes.
we need to look to collect data on growth rates. But what that committee allowed us to do first, give an assessment of the current situation, and then it also allowed you to actually now give a future projection as to, okay, do we need to import? And I will say this to you: prior to what is happening now, all importations of poultry, eggs, whatever, into the country were done after a meetings of that committee. And where even the farmers themselves will say, we anticipate there's going to be a problem. So this is where we need to import to ensure that consumers will not be negatively impacted by any shortages. That
Yes.
is what happened before. That system has fallen apart. And I think that is the nexus of the problem.
And now I understand what you're saying, because as someone is saying here that there should be consultations before large scale importation. And
Correct.
if you're going to, I see where you're going, because this can affect the small farmers.
Correct.
I get where you're going. I understand. So we have to be careful how we are going to quickly sound the alarm that there's a shortage when we have not done we have not done the assessment. We don't really know. We
That's
haven't
right.
done the inventory to know
That's
whether
right.
we are really short.
That's right.
It's that's an interesting. I see where you're going with that.
The other
Now,
issue, sorry, go ahead. You go
no,
ahead, please.
with you saying that, it makes me wonder, because there was a time, and you can correct me. There was a time when we had a discussion on this show where it appeared to us that there was a shortage of milk. And I remember I asked you, and you said, "No, Marcia, there's none." And a farmer, a milk farmer, that's what you call them.
Dairy farming.
Yes, they wrote to me and told me, "No, Marcia, there's no shortage." They told me Mr. Paul is correct. But to us, going into the supermarket, there was to us it felt like there was a shortage. But alas, there was another milk on the shelf from Guyana, and so I am wondering. It makes me want to ask the question, if this is artificially created. If is this something? I'm asking the question. I know you're very politically correct, but I'm asking the question: is this something that is beyond serious? Is it being created to put our small farmers, or out of business? I don't know. I'm just asking a question, because we have containers that are coming in next week, but we're hearing that there are small farmers that have chickens. So what there's a disparity there's some things I have to ask a question. Now, you want to answer that?
Yes, I will answer the question. I think what it depends on how we manage the distribution process, how government manages that distribution process to ensure that it is not done in such a way to release the whatever comes in a manner that damages the demand, okay,
Yeah.
for the overall local production. Because if it is released in an irresponsible manner, that basically then causes a refusal on the part of, say, consumers to buy our local poultry, there will be a problem. And I will give you an example of talking about. We have a double standard in this country. Supermarkets would tell you that they want fresh birds. In other words, freshly slaughtered birds. Okay? Yet, as was indicated before, right? When we had a situation some weeks ago, and I go back to that because I stand by my words.
Yes.
I don't have to be fair about that. When the small farmers had reported that, and when we checked with BICO, that there were large quantities of cold storage chicken inside it was filled up to the brim. There wasn't anybody rushing to buy, okay, that frozen chicken. Those small farmers got rid of that chicken, and over a period of time, that is true, over a period of weeks. Okay,
Yes.
but they literally had to go, in some cases, negotiate discounts, right?
Ah.
And I was being questioned today on the radio about it,
Hmm.
and we don't understand that why they had to do it that way, because they were saying, people were saying, no, but why isn't it there? Why if you said there was cold storage, that these chickens were in cold storage 6 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago or whatever, why is it still there now? That means you were not true. But I mean, the small farmer will be foolish 8 weeks ago, recognizing that he has birds in storage and keeping it there all night now, because remember, each week he's paying by cold storage. So don't
Right.
think that you're keeping it. So it is in your interest that even if now you have to take a loss,
Mm-hmm.
okay, on that chicken and sell it, he's going to do that. So don't think because I said so 8 weeks ago that you can still find the chicken there now. It will be silly, absolutely silly.
Correct.
Okay, for you to expect that of the farmer, but he will
So
have
what
to.
are you saying? Why do they have it
But to tell
there?
me now, so to come to me and ask me, oh, where's the chicken that you talked about? That is, to my mind, a question which you should be able to answer yourself. But you should be able to answer that question. Because the farmer would have done what he needed to do to make sure after 2 weeks, let me try. Even if I have to accept a 25% reduction in price, let me get it all, because that means then, remember, I pay by all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in other
Yeah.
words, I would tell you that what has happened is that since then, farmers have been able to whittle it down. Okay, whittle it down because they can't pay by that money. That's eating into the profits more and more and more, and get rid of it, right? So therefore I'm coming back to the point that you originally said in terms of the whole question of importation, right? Importation of too large quantities of birds at any point in time has always had a negative impact on local poultry in terms of sales. Now, added to this fact, we and I really want to give the government kudos on this one, that
Mm-hmm.
we we have been provided with a fund of $2 million that we are currently distributing to farmers. And as a matter of fact,
Who
we
is
have
we? Who is we? Who is
the
we?
BAS, Barbados Agricultural
Okay,
Society.
because the minister said you got $2 million. Okay. Uh-huh.
Correct. And it is a loan. It is not a
Yes.
grant. It is a
Who
loan.
did you get the loan from?
No, from the BAS. In other words, the funds have been placed, and it's a revolving loan. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it has been placed with the BAS on lending to farmers. And it's a revolving loan because we expect the farmers to repay that money. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
and a lot of they are investing in terms of improving the chicken pens. Those farmers, for instance, who had pens that were run down and needed repairs, they're doing that. And in some cases, we are seeing farmers expanding capacity. I mean, I could tell you this week, there was a lady or last week, from St. Philip. She and her husband, they go to a certain church, in which the reverend brought to this, but they do about, say, 1,000 birds,
Mm-hmm.
and that is their livelihood, and they are now
Yes.
seeking to expand, and they're doing that. So in other words, people are catching on to it. Now, when those persons, for instance, that now are refitting their pens and they're coming back into production,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we are seeing expansion in capacity. So in other words, while, for instance, you talking about 10 million birds a year being hatched, it could go to 11 million. Are we
Mm-hmm.
going to now continue to say that we still need to import the volumes of chicken imports that we're doing here now, which again places, all right, our local producers at a disadvantage? Of course not. And that is the point I am making, right? And this is where you call forward planning. So all I'm saying is I do understand the concerns that consumers have at the moment. But the industry right now, they have increased capacity that's coming on board. Yes, we are going through a problem now. But it is not a problem really that means then all of a sudden that things are falling down and we need to rush to do this wholesale importation or whatever people are talking about. And we are handling it in a mature manner. I also wish to assure persons at the same time that we are learning. And one of the things I am actually going to try to do now is that this whole question of mortality, I think we are going to have to find a system by which farmers are encouraged to report the mortality among the birds. So even if we have to start with a cadre or group or sample group that reports on mortality, so that, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, if we see mortality trends, increasing consistently among a group of farmers, that we are able to alert ourselves if something is going wrong here, okay? Because then it has impact on the availability of poultry for the
Right.
industry. So
So,
things
so
that need to be put into place.
right. So I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I'm here thinking because when I spoke with a couple small farmers, and they all independently said to me, Marcia, when we go to buy our chicks, we are getting sometimes less than 50% from the hatcheries of what we need. And their belief is that it is being given to the larger um, businesses. Is that your understanding, and why is that?
Let me just say, Cam, because there's a comment there. I see the comment. I don't refer to this, but I understand the notion. But what I will say is that I have heard that complaint.
Mhm.
And there may or may not be justification. Okay? Probably there is justification. But at least now, how we tackle that issue, and I want to say how we would tackle that issue, is that at least there is now a third hatchery on board.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
And thirdly, you're in the business. Like for instance, the reason why you have now a second feed mill producing, there were certain complaints, so you have now a second feed mill. Let's see how that situation can be addressed. Because and understand, and I think maybe they might have a legitimate growth. Okay, I can't say definitely that is so, but I have to listen to the farmers,
Yeah,
right? And if
because
the farmers,
all of them that I spoke to today, sir, in
yeah,
fact, one of them is closed down.
okay,
All of them because they can't get the number of chicks that they
right.
need.
So what we have to do now is to try to see how we can actually find a way. Okay, that third hatchery has to start to step up to the plate and ensure if there's a deficiency in that second hatchery, you have a third hatchery. We want to say to that third hatchery, please get up there and start to serve those farmers, because it means that look, this is where what I call it's this competition there, and we have a free market. There's freedom of entry and exit. So what is
Mhm.
happening is that under the free market system, you have now there's a need, somebody else has stepped in, and I'm hoping that what we will see, right, is that the private entity that is there, okay, steps up to the plate, expand, and fill the void that is likely to be there. I want to
Yeah.
make the point too about state entities, because I saw that question. Look, the worst thing that we could have is government getting involved in the private sector activities, and I maintain that dearly.
So it is a government, because somebody there answered the question. It's a government that is importing
First of all, at that level,
allegedly the
yes,
4 containers of chicken that is supposed to be coming
it
in
will
next
most
week.
likely, yes, it will most likely be the government that is doing
Mhm.
it. Okay, although I can be subject to correction, because sometimes how we did it in the past is that the government though had to give, if even if a private sector operation did it, the government in itself had to give permission for that to happen, right?
Yes.
And it had to be a process by which that chicken that is imported, that
Mhm.
all processors, that or all parts of the industry that were having issues or problems had
Mhm.
access to that chicken. I do not know if this is happening. I can't say at this stage. And that
Yes.
is honest of you. In other words, first of all, if there are 4 containers coming in, as you say, I can't tell you who has access to it or who will not have access to it. Right? And I just want to make that very clear, so that I don't know what arrangements. But in the past, what happened
Mhm.
when things like that occurred, we did it in such a way where all players in the industry had access, of course, once they had the money to pay for it, because that was another issue that arose where people felt that, you know what, and let me see if I can, no, it had to be that you had the money to pay for it. You said you wanted it, you paid for it, and it went out. Okay, that is how it works. So there was a fair system of distribution throughout to address the areas of need, so that you don't have a situation where one fellow holding on for the chicken, right, and inserting it into the market when he feels like to cause damage. It was never like that,
Yeah.
right? So that's just clear. But going back to the whole point about government participation in the industry, I really think that we need to recognize that government, yes, has a role as a regulatory body,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the as a regulatory in the industry, right?
Yeah.
And it should not be getting involved in aspects that are really under the purview, right, of a private sector operation, because that will not be fair. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so at the level of the hatchery, no, that is where you have the private sector has an opportunity to invest in. Let them invest it, because be frank, we always hear the claim that how there are millions of dollars sitting down in our banks, in our financial institutions, including credit unions. What do
Yes.
they like? What do they like to lend from last year? All kind of consumables, houses, and the cars, and the this and that. Consumables that does not help development in Barbados. It does not help Barbados to earn foreign exchange or save foreign exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Financial institutions now engage in practices that actually basically compromise us when it comes to foreign exchange and exacerbates our foreign exchange problem. That is what they do. Okay, I would want to say though, I can't. I have to take back this word in a sense, because, for instance, I want to give credit to RBC Caribbean, because they actually have played a critical role in
Yes.
our being able to finance the recent importation of milk and heifers. Okay, to help to augment milk supplies in the industry. So I can't say that, at least at an institution,
Yeah, that they have helped
they have
RBC.
stepped up to the plate. Okay, as far as that is concerned, that you can speak of, right? But others, of course, but by and large, most of the lending in Barbados on the part of the banks and the credit unions are for consumables. They show very little appetite, okay, to
Mm-hmm.
support productive sector projects, which they need to do more of, and they asset and listen, the funds that they have in the banks, okay, millions of dollars that who saved it? Me, you, tax taxpayers in this country, that they're using, but they're not using to help us develop ourselves, but they're using it to basically buy consumables that does not help the future development of Barbados.
Right.
That is what they're using it. That is what they're using it for, right? So all I'm saying is that we have to have a different approach, a completely different approach. And we have to step up to the plate.
Yeah. One of the things that first of all, thanks for that piece of information. I mean, it's good to whenever you are on. I'm always educated, and it's good. I know that a lot of the people listening, they're trying to understand it because they know what they're experiencing. But it's good to have information, and it challenges some of what we think we know. But the mortality rate issue, I would have thought that by now, between yourselves and the government, you would have a system in place to be able to understand what is going on. When a farmer could look at me today and say, Marcio, sometimes the mortality rate is 50% and more. And he says to me, I don't even know if it's the feed. I don't know if it's the temperature. I don't know. That farmer would have lost probably all of their profits.
Marcia, you hit the
Yes.
nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head there. Look,
Mhm.
again, very transparent. We remember, in fact, let me tell you, as far back as 2010, this country, and this is a previous government, by the way, has promised farmers that we will have a laboratory in which in that laboratory we will be able to test birds
Mhm.
that to see whether or not, if, for instance, when you have these deaths, you could do autopsies that will
Mhm.
at least try to determine very quickly what is the cause of the deaths in those birds, right? We need a lab in Barbados. We saw a situation where they had this whole fancy study that they did at that point in time in 2010, in which farmers were promised this lab that will come into fruition very soon, and they employed a whole set of people to do it. They had a special team of civil servants that were supposed to do it, and at the end of the process, we were to have this lab built that will be able, for instance, farmers, if they have problems in terms of the birds, they'll be able to go there and we find out exactly what the issue is. And that lab will be properly equipped that would allow farmers to
But
determine their.
somebody's saying there's a lab at UWI.
You hold on, there's no lab at UE that is capable of doing that. That is not true. Okay?
Mm.
That no, as a matter of fact, I would want to add there even with UE. I remember when were doing that thing out Jukes. Remember that thing that the Chinese built out Jukes? Okay?
Yes.
Which I don't know what it is. Anyhow, I was suggesting if they really want to make a difference, that UE should concentrate in terms of trying to fill the void then that we have with the government lab, right? But the point is really though, what I'm saying is that we need a lab in the industry that will actually help farmers when they're experiencing deaths or problems on their farms, that can do those autopsies very quickly, do the diagnosis, and know exactly what is causing the problem. So we will know if it is feed. Well, you advise the feed company, and they will do rectifications in terms of maybe they need to change the diet somewhat, or put in something else in order to stop this thing from happening. Because I remember when we had this, it was vitamin E deficiency that they had.
Yeah.
They had quick action, things was done, and basically they changed that and things got sorted out. Okay, but and then so but this and also not only that, farmers were able, if there was a problem, to take their birds immediately to the Ministry of Agriculture lab. Okay, and they would get at that time it was Dr. St. John who would do the analysis, do the and say, well, okay, this is what is happening. Let's take action immediately to solve it. That type of service is no longer available to the farmer. So in other words, the farmer is in the dark. So even if you have a vet, the vet can only surmise or guess what is happening. As a matter of fact, some farmers are saying too that, when they look at the report from the vet, you can take one report from another and it's the same thing. Okay? So sometimes farmers are now beginning to question the authenticity of those reports and all that kind of stuff. And it is not fair to the vets because you need it's the work of the vets must be supported by at least the type of equipment that allows them to give a thorough analysis as to exactly what is happening. And equipment now, there's equipment that you need to properly equip the lab with to make sure that work can be done, right? But that somehow is no longer available to help the farmer. So that is part of the issue. So even if now there's a problem happening now, right? The type of advice that the farmers need in order to rectify it is not readily available. And
but Pedro Gemot is saying we don't need any lab here, that they have one in TNT, and that should be good enough.
Hold on. You see, Pedro does not understand though that, and that is not true either. You see, we have these fanciful notions about the operation of a modern industry that does not sit with reality and does not lend to efficiency, right? There's no modern poultry operation, okay, that exists in the world today that does not have adequate lab facilities affiliated to it, right? We need to spend the money. We spend the money in all kinds of other areas, right? Related to tourism. So you want to tell me, after you promise this thing to farmers all the time, and if we have to have a successful and really viable poultry industry throughout for the future, a lab is absolutely essential. And if you look at any modern poultry industry, as a matter of fact, I would tell you, I want to applaud Jamaica, because Jamaica now, but that is through their own private sector investment. Okay? Now,
right, which is what I wanted to ask about, because I'm saying, this is a question I had. Why are we waiting on government to build this lab? Why can't all of the chicken farmers come together and build with the private sector? Why couldn't they build a lab?
But Marcia, it takes money. And if we are already restricting the level of profits that farmers earn, okay, on the birds that they are selling to things. But at the end of the day, this is an institution where government too will benefit. So I don't think it's an unreasonable demand. So I will suggest Pedro he takes down that statement, because that really, right? I think that is highly misleading to anybody who's looking at it, to suggest that in order for a farmer to find out what is happening to his birds, he now has to take up that bird and send it to TNT.
To TNT, yeah.
I understand that. In a modern poultry operation, that's unacceptable. We need response here on the spot right here. That's what we need.
But Mr. Paul, I am here looking here. I just did a little check, right? And it's saying here that in the US, that there is shortages in chicken in the US here right now currently because of for them it's the avian influenza and
Avian,
other
avian
challenges.
flu virus,
So
avian flu virus.
what I'm wondering, do we are we getting anything from the US in terms of feed or eggs, or do we get any of that from the US? Could we be affected by what's happening? Because if the US has a shortage and we're getting eggs or feed from the US, would that affect us too?
It could, but it depends on the level. Remember that in some cases, that will relate to, for instance, birds that you're growing out. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
where we might get affected is in terms of um, the hatch and egg situation. Because remember, if you understand how the industry is structured, you have what is called breeder farms. It is
Yes.
not every egg that is produced will cause a chick. That's the science in the industry, though. Okay, you have what is called a breeder farm, which actually produces the eggs that we now use, what we call the hatching eggs that we import. We do import hatching eggs from the United States of America. Okay,
Mm.
and it is those hatching eggs that we use now to produce our market flock. Okay,
Mm.
we use them to produce our layers
You
and our
probably want to
broilers.
look. You probably want to check there as well.
Well, of course, but the point is really though, and that is an issue too. The question that maybe we need to ask our hatcheries: are they getting any of the supplies compromised? I have not had any indication. Again, we have to go by the reports. Okay,
Mhm.
I have not had any indication to say that those supplies have been compromised to the point where it's likely to prove a problem in the future. But what I
Right.
would say is this, right?
Mhm.
Again, let us understand our private sector, our poultry industry will respond to what is happening now. All right. And I believe, first of all, in terms of trying to ensure that, and I want to say the presence of the third hatchery means that third hatchery needs to be stepped up the same way. Okay.
Yeah.
And make sure that those complaints that you're hearing from the farmers in terms of they're not getting adequate amount of checks, that somehow is solved almost immediately. So pressure is placed upon them, and I'm hoping within a few short weeks, in fact, by next week, that because it takes the time between placing the order for your hatching eggs to get here for them to be hatched, there'll be a little adjustment time. But let's hope that is solved. That we don't hear those type
Right.
of
So we
complaints.
might just be in an adjustment time. Well, we're gonna hold you, and people don't let there be a run on chickens. Okay. We're just here asking questions because we love our country and we want to make sure that we don't have any scarcity in that particular area. But before
Yes.
you go, I want to talk to you, Dave. Can you put up some yard fowls on my screen? Find some yard fowls, some rooster, and
I,
something.
I don't.
Because
Mark,
listen, before Mr. Paul, my
yes.
husband been telling you. I have a neighbor who watches show, and I went and got my wires, and he made a coop for me because there were so many yard fowls running up and down and eating out my garden, eating out the stuff that I planted in my garden. And I said, man, I want to catch one of these, some of these yard fowls, and I want to cook one, right? Or a couple.
Yes.
But I am afraid of the chickens. I don't want to hold them, right? But but listen though, but if I get them in there, I used to kill the chickens when I was in Jamaica with my family. So I think I know how to do that. But it's like to hold the live chicken to put him, and none of my family, nobody wants to do it. They think that is wicked. I'm going to kill the chicken and all of that. But seriously though, the yard fowls. I see yard fowls walking in UWI. Yard fowls crossing the road at University of the West Indies. Yard fowl walking from the outside of UWI, walking going into the library. There's so much yard fowls all over Barbados. Why we can't eat those, Mr. Paul?
Well, I'm not suggesting that you can't eat them, but although we tell you this, yard fowls though too are one of the problems in the industry, because in these, with the whole thing about these new diseases that are impacting, um, And I want to thank Mr. Tony Spencer there for that comment. The impact in the industry right now, right? Yard fowls don't pick up diseases. They
They
do pick
don't.
up diseases. They
Oh, they
do.
pick up.
Okay. Yes, because it was
Our
found.
poor parents were eating them, Mr. Paul.
No, no, hold on. You see, hold on. But you remember something. Diseases mutate. I know that there's this argument that, well, we're doing this thing for so long and things never happen. Diseases, things mutate, For instance, you take the same avian flu virus. It was not expected. If you had a discussion 10 years ago, they would never tell you that the avian flu virus would affect cows. Never tell you that. Or that it would jump from, say, cows to human being. No, no, seriously,
No, I'm
it is
reading a comment
happening.
here. Somebody saying that the heat does kill everything. But go ahead.
But, but that is true because one of the things they tell you, one of the good things about us is that when we do, we like, in Europe and stuff like that. People sometimes they like to, when you crack an egg, fellas, I remember when we were young, we used to take the egg, mix it up with milk and all, and drink it just so. I could tell you that. But the truth is, really, once you want to heat everything, it does kill a lot of the germs and diseases that are likely to be inside there, right? I do understand that. But all I'm saying, though, is though that in terms of the whole question of the industry in itself, that yard fowls or those fowls exposed to wild birds, okay, does have they can actually assist in spreading disease that you do not want to spread, and including that dangerous
The same avian, but I mean, we could be having the birds because if it's in America and we're getting the eggs from America, it's possible that it could be affecting us here. But do you know that the Ghanaians, though, the Ghanaians, who some of the nurses, they tell me that they would give some of the small little guys a little $10 and so on. They catch these yard fowls. And this is what they eat. A lot of the Ghanaians, that's what they told me. And they said because when they eat the chicken here, it doesn't taste the same as back home in Ghana.
But I would only tell you.
They eat them.
I would only tell you.
Fine, and they look good.
Yeah, they look good. But I would just say, Marcia, that I would only tell you my experience. As a boy and my mother, when I used to love. I had a bias. I did not like yard fowls. Because yard fowls.
You have a bias.
Maybe, but it tends to be tougher. If you taste the meat from the yard fowl, it is tougher. Okay, so as a boy, I didn't like that. I like that smooth cook when you get using the one that as what we call cage raised birds that are exposed both the place picking up all kind of stuff. So that was just my thing as a boy. So I just want to make that point. But I don't understand how people feel about it. But I think.
So
generally,
people say yard fowl, Anika said a yard fowl is sweeter.
To each man his taste. I have no difficulty with that. Right? Each man his taste, but you must admit that generally among consumers, right? Consumers seem to generally prefer the cage-raised birds, So, right? Because if there is a difference between, if for instance you take pigs, right? I remember there was a gentleman, we was in pigs for a long time, and we used to feed and days before you actually fed swill, chicken waste, out of the kitchen to the pigs, right? And then of course what happened is that the feed mill came along that really got the pigs into the corn and stuff like that. And definitely I would tell you that if you look at pigs, for instance, you can tell a pig that is raised from what we would call cereals, the corn or whatever, than that is raised from swill, because the meat is different.
Yes.
Right? The fat itself is different, because what happens is that the fat tends to be like more oily, has a lot more oil in it, okay? As against, for instance, in the case of the what you would call it. I know that I know that same about the green pawpaw. So listen. I can talk to my cook, and see if I can't talk too loud when I say my cook because he might be saying. But the point is really, And see if the, as you said, the green pepper will tenderize it more and try to see what happens.
Green papa, they said will take care of the toughness and
Right.
I mean, some people
But
actually do
going
think,
back, but going back to the pig Marcia, you will
yes,
see
sorry,
that, for instance, some people like to have a fat in the pig that is firm rather than oily and it stays together. But so it's different in terms of the characteristic of the meat of a pig that basically is raised on grains as that way is raised on
hmm,
swill, right?
yeah,
So, and that is where consumer preference comes in because remember, we're in a world in which the consumer is king, as they say. So you have to raise it according to those standards. That's what I'm saying.
well, I tell you, listen, we're going, we listen, both in both metaphorically and and in reality, we need to catch some of these yard fowls. But seriously though, we need to. I would love to see it. You know, I don't know if people sell it. Do they have people here that sell yard fowls?
Well, I
Do they
mean,
have the?
yes, there are people who actually
Oh,
will have yard policy, so they can make a business out of it. They
yes,
can make a
because
business.
there's so many, and they're creating a havoc in my garden. Every morning I go around, they have to take up two big stones
You
because
know, the fruit and veg farmers claim, though, that one of the good things that they are good at is controlling the snails, the African
Mhm,
snails, right? In that you tend to find that they go after because you know the African snails actually they burrow into they're there, right, and they
mhm.
burrow into the ground, right? So they actually eat the African snails, so that helps to solve that particular problem. But of course, they eat other, you know. Look, listen, everything in nature has its purpose. But all I'm
Yes,
saying, still at the same time, we still have to balance the fact is that we have though a commercial poultry industry, right?
yes,
Broiler and layer. And at the end of the day, look, the poultry industry in this country employs people, and I want to make that again.
yes.
That is what it employs people, small farmers, large farmers, and not only farmers themselves. There are people who provide services to the industry that depend on to make a living, right?
Mhm.
That's how economic activity is actually generated in this country. And that is why
Mhm.
I exhort Barbadians, I encourage them. We are going, yes, we might be going through a difficulty at the moment, but let us not amplify it to the point where we seem to think that the persons in the industry do not know what they're doing and that they will not respond to what is happening right now, and that we will soon see very shortly improvements in that industry,
Right.
right?
Well, I
That will
thank you so
respond.
much, Mr. I'm sorry, I cut you off. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were still
No, sorry,
speaking. Go ahead.
that will respond to whatever's happening. But go ahead. It's about at this end of a
Yes.
statement anyhow.
Yeah, I just want to thank you so much. I know that it wasn't all, it's good. It's all good because we, as a consumer, we are going by what our eyes see, and you have come to give us that information. And you're always on the side of the small farmers. And I mean, Dave and I, we try to buy from our small farmers, and we're going to try to do
Thank
that
you.
more. And I
Mhm.
want to encourage people on here tonight to search out your small farmers. Before you go ahead and say, because the supermarket doesn't have it. Because the truth be told, when I did not get it in the supermarket, it was my small farmer, Mr. Paul, that had the chickens
Yes, sir.
that I need, okay? That I needed.
And,
So check out
and that
your
is
small
good.
farmers. Yes?
But Marcia, I want to say then to remember now, you, you think it's really that so we're seeking up the small farmers now. So they're doing pretty well, whatever they have. When situations start to return to normal, and the normal supply chain starts to kick in now and say, because those persons who normally establish, say, supply the supermarkets, and you have them there, you say, well, I have in the supermarkets, so I don't have to bother the small farmer anymore, right? You see this challenge that we're having. But one of the
Yes,
things I
yes.
want to say, one of the programs that we're trying to establish now, and I think Massey, we have
Mhm.
contacted them and they are willing to look at it. Hopefully, I have to send an email to the gentleman there, and he said he will look at it. Is that we will have, right now, I have always said I like to big up high pack,
Mhm.
because the ham season coming on, and I will tell you, they are the only processing entity that provides a market for our pigs locally, okay? But they
Okay.
actually have they have actually indicated, Marcia,
Mm-hmm.
that they actually buy pork carcasses weekly from our farmers,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what that constant supply is there. If it wasn't for them, this pork industry would not be able to survive. So
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to develop a similar arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
The supermarkets like Massey, we're going after people like Popular, okay? Where, for instance, one issue with small farmers is sometimes they cannot maintain consistency in the contracts. In other words,
Right.
1 week, and supermarkets, we need to have that every week so that,
It's true.
that's how it's happening. So what we're trying to do within the BAS is to organize groups of farmers that they can supply supermarkets on a constant basis through a special marketing arrangement that we want to have with stores like Massey, Popular, and things such as these. So that's something that we are
Yeah.
working on.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody said they would like to buy, buy it in the supermarket. It's hard to move around. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Paul. I would love for to be able to go to one of these farms and to just document the process. And I'm going to reach out to you because I think it's quite interesting, and we need to see where our food comes from and how it's grown. So I'm going to reach out to you about that. And the next time you come on, we want to hear about the pork industry, report mouth, and we want to hear about that Christmas coming up. All right.
Yes, listen, Christmas coming up, so you have to hear about pork moves.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for
Okay.
joining us tonight, sir. God bless you.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Yes. So here, there you have it, guys. That they are working on it. There's not really a shortage. Give them some time, and it's going to be worked out. Okay. And we're going to continue to buy. Yes, we're going to continue to support the supermarkets or small farmers, etc. Let's not let there be a run on chicken that we go and stock up our fridge, and so everybody doesn't get chickens at this time. Okay, so let's be careful of how we interpret what we see, because we might end up hurting the small farmers in the in that process. Okay, so let's be careful of what we do and what we say. I thought that was really interesting. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about independence, but before I do that, Dave, do you have a picture of Diddy? Can you put up a picture of Diddy on here, because I want to talk a little bit tonight about the BAJAN Diddy. Yeah, BAJAN Diddy. And I'm not calling anybody name. You can infer what you want to infer, but we're going to talk a little bit about BAJAN Diddy. And in talking about BAJAN Diddy, we're going to talk about corruption. And I want to appeal to those people, politicians who are listening to me tonight. Politicians, you are listening to me. Politicians who are in bed with the criminals in this country, listen to me. There's a lot of praying that is happening, and there's a lot of exposure that is coming. And it's only a matter of time. This one is for politicians. We come on here, we talk to the criminals, don't we? We talk to the ones that we are calling the criminals with the guns. The guys on the street that we can see. The ones who come on Facebook and have a big old long gun. What we don't see is those that are in the shadows. I am speaking specifically tonight about politicians. Politicians who have relatives that you're working through. You're working through relatives that causing havoc in this country with criminal activities that the police feel that they cannot touch. Politicians who have godsons, nephews, nieces carrying in drugs. bringing containers of guns. Politicians, I am speaking to you and you know exactly who you are. And I'm saying to you, the Spirit of God is going to hunt you down and you're going to get exposed in here. And I tell you, my viewers know when I sit in this chair, I'm not making up stuff. I'm protecting the names of the people who, because some of these people are still in danger. You're in your constituencies and you have relatives that are involved in these things. There's certain gangs in this country that the police cannot touch because politicians' relatives are running these gangs. Some of you are the bad men. Some of you are the gangsters. Some of you own the gangsters. Some of you are profiting from the gangsters. Some of you are orchestrating the hits on the different gangs. You know yourself. Yes, you know yourself, and you put on a suit and you drive around here acting all high and mighty and talking up in your nose. You know who you are. If it's not you, the cap don't fit you, don't wear it. But you better clean up your act. Because I'm promising you this October 30th day, 2024, your behind is going to be exposed because of the much prayer. I don't know. We don't know. I listen, there are lots of prayer warriors on here that want to pray and lift up your skirt and lift up your pants. I want to ask a question. Barbados is so small. And we had the first mass murder, mass killing in Barbados on Nelson Street. And you're going to tell me, I heard one thing on the radar, they were trying to look for one guy, and all no, we haven't heard any. If I'm wrong, can somebody let me know if they've heard any? Have they locked up anybody or have anybody charged? Where is the investigation? What level is the investigation on the Nelson Street massacre? Where are we on that at this moment? We love to jump on those little young men, the little ones who can't read so good, huh? And they are the ones carrying the long guns. But you ever ask yourself the question, something like Nelson Street? Huh? That's something like Nelson Street that happened. You're going to tell me that we can't solve that yet? Has that been solved? When was the last time you heard anything about Nelson Street? Because they want us to forget about it. Is it because somebody's godson? Whose godson is involved in it, Nelson Street? It's not the no I'm hearing about this godson business. I've been hearing about this godson business now for months. And when the little boys, they told me, oh, but you don't know whose godson bringing the most guns in this country. I said, what you're telling me? It's all on the streets. They know. And all I'm saying, you BAJAN DIDDY, your skirt is going to go over your head and your behind is going to be seen. Wrong one, Dave. Wrong thing. Yeah? Your skirt is going to be seen. Your behind is going to be seen. There are incidents that happen in this country, and because politicians, family members, and they themselves behind it, the police can't do nothing. The police cannot do anything, and then we are going to come on and talking about the problem. We need to the tint. Well, our glass is clear and we don't have any tint on it. Our eyes clear and we can see exactly what's happening. Our eyes not tinted. Okay? I am telling you, your days are numbered for your exposure. Exposure. I am praying for it. Because there is no reason, this small little island here, why we can't solve these things. You understand? I want to also ask the BAJAN DIDDY, DIDDY. You know, there's a Diddy in the US that there's a big whole case now, and when you know, it's involving all of these celebrities. Well, let me tell you, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about DD. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about DD, DIDDY. All of those, when you go down to Guyana, you know who you are. When you go down to Guyana, what of those little girls that they give you? You think it don't, people know, people are talking. You go down to Guyana for the little girls down there. We know the people out down there know, because the little girls talk. What about those in St. Vincent that you mess up? You don't think that one of these days people are going to tell you? Think you are above reproach, and you're above the law? The same way how they did it in America thought that, you know, and didn't know that someday somebody had a video. You go down into Guyana and you go down there. And we know what you're doing down there. Yes. But I tell you, prayer is going to smoke you out. That's why we're not getting anywhere with the crime here. You calm down and then it start up again. Calm down and it start up again. There's too much corruption. It's too much corruption. Perversion. And we expect that God is going to bless what we do and all of this whole other thing that we're going on with. Perversion. What about you with all of these? You have the authority, you have a constituency, but you're sleeping with all the young men. Huh? You have your wife, but you're sleeping with all the young men for favors. Huh? When they're supposed to get the government, the jobs. That's what you said, you're going to give them jobs and things. It wasn't for you to sleep with them before they get jobs. Huh? So you're like a Peter Filler ring. All of that, we're going to pray it out. That ring going to bust up. Right? And like a boy is going to start talking. Because you think that people are hungry, people, children are hungry in here. Huh? You think that people, children hungry, so you can do as you will with people, children in here? And then with your nice wife on your arm when it's time to go to do all these official gatherings? You're nasty. And you're perverted. Right? You're nasty and you're perverted. And your sin is going to find you out. Repent, or your sin is going to find you out. That's why we can't get anywhere. When they're not serious. They're not serious about anything. You're not serious about anything. Everything too connected. Who connected to who? Who God's son doing this? Who nephew? Who niece? Who this? Who daughter? And listen, I am here not trying to knock anybody's sexuality. What I am saying is that if you are over a constituency, it is not, people don't need to give you to give you sex to get anything. They already voted for you. Woman or man don't need to give you no sex to get anything. You understand? And this perversion, there is a perversion. Believe me when I tell you, Barbados, some of you might not want to hear this, but believe me when I tell you, it is nasty and it's intertwined like this. And they think that they have it all covered, and it's thing. And what they're doing to people so that they're threatening people with their jobs and all of that. These wicked people. Victimization, marginalization. You have allegations of little boys that you supposed to be in your care and all of that, and what you have done to them, and you still going around here high and mighty in your big car, in a big suit, and nobody touch you. Huh? You mess up all these little girls, but women too. Women turning out other women, little young girls, turning them out for favors. You need to stop it. It's nasty and it's perverted. And I'm telling you, folks, this here, I have to hold back a lot. Right? I have to hold back a lot because there are victims right now that don't want to talk. They're so nervous. And until we can start there, I'm telling you, all of this here plan, don't listen to them. When they come and giving you all of this step 1, 2, 3 that they are doing, don't listen. Foolishness. Because there are some cases in here that cannot be investigated because of who the people are that are involved in them. Because of who the people are that are involved in them, their cases in here. So, correct. So when they have the cybercrime bill and it becomes law in Barbados, we can't say anything. You see this? Hurricane, you come to the front of the class, Hurricane, right now. They are turning this thing into Sodom and Gomorrah. Listen to me. People can make up their mind on what they want to do with their life and whatever. I'm not in going into people's bedroom and saying to choose whether they want to be with man, woman, or whatever. But what I'm saying is that you should not use your office. The office. You should not use your office right? To say to people that, well, in order to for you to get this, how many calls I get. So like a nasty old man, huh? Telling girls what they have to do in order for them to help them after we vote you in. Boys that you're offering money to. That time you must be full of diseases to mess up other people's lives. And because things are difficult for people. Yeah? Because things are difficult for people end up, doing all kinds of things. And yes, it happened in other Caribbean countries. I'm talking about Barbados, and we need to clean it up. The act need to be cleaned up inside of here. In here need to clean up. And I'm telling you, you will not see any progress here with this crime issue here. You remember the whole story with the passport? The special passport that somebody's relative had. You remember that story? Oh boy. And the drugs that they were bringing in with that special passport. So you see what I'm telling you? They just caught, that's just like a surface. And it's just another one bringing down that one. You remember that passport situation? It was in the newspaper, so I'm just reading what the newspaper said. That's what I'm just saying, what the newspaper said. There was somebody connected to someone in a politician that was coming in with drugs on a special passport, a diplomatic passport that only certain people can get. But I tell you, I heard today when I hear the stories, it hurts your heart to see the injustice. Can you imagine where you're not getting any justice from the police because of who is involved? Do you know what started to happen when those kinds of things, a kind of vigilante mindset that people think and decide to help themselves? We have to do better in Barbados. Right? Yes, I'm being careful. I did not call anybody's name. Right? Right? It's just too much now. It's too much. It is too much. Prayer warriors, pray. Stop being so fearful. Stop being so fearful. So what will happen if the cybercrime bill comes? What will happen? There is an abuse of power. You got it right, Peter King, and that's what I'm dealing with. An abuse of power that is going on. You are able to give the jobs because we voted you and we put you in a position. We don't need to do any favors to get it. Barbadians, understand your worth. Speak to your children. Yeah, I call Diddy's name. Diddy is someone from the US that the whole internet is speaking about. Diddy, D-I-D-D-Y. Not. I wasn't speaking about the person Diddy here. So I'm not sure what you're talking about, Pedro. Right? Everybody know that Diddy is in jail over what? What are the allegations against him? Yeah, it's all over the internet. Everybody knows that. So I'm not sure what you're talking about. Yeah, Tamika, using influence and position over people that desperately need help. That's what I am talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And what they're expecting is that nobody's going to say anything. I remember when I just came here, a little young girl came and she showed me. I missed her for a little time, and she was about 13 or 14, I think. And then she brought her shoes. I see her with her shoes and a bag. And I said, "Well, where you got this from?" And the little girl told me that her mother sent her to go with a man to get her school shoes and her bag. You know what I did? I called the police and the child care board. And I'm hearing from neighbors, "Oh, she does that all the time." So if she did that, she's doing that all the time, how come nobody ever reported her before? Because we know of these things and we don't say anything about it. We don't expose anything. We don't get ourselves involved. Yeah. Obia, man, that's the thing. I'm not in this kind of fair talk. Obia, I rebuke them. I rebuke them. What I'm saying to us, Barbarians, at the time when we lose our fair, they lose their power. When we lose our fair, they will lose their power. I just got tired of hearing these stories. They have their wives and then they go out there with the boys. And then dress up in a tie and everything and think, you know, pick on people your own size. Do what you want to do with your life, but don't use your power. You understand? This is a problem. Yeah. This is a problem that we are facing, and that's why I'm asking for the sorry, I'm reading my messages as people are sending messages. Yes. Oh yeah, that's what I'm telling you. A lot of people know what's going on, but they're afraid to speak. They're afraid to speak. Correct. They're like shining objects that they feel that nothing will happen to them. They go to clear to Guyana. And some of these people go to Guyana abusing the girls over there. Ah, boy, I tell you. But I feel passionately about these things. So, I just wanted to sound the alarm to them that are listening, that your days of doing those things undercover, that they are numbered. There are people who are going to be praying you out, and your behind is going to be exposed. And anybody who don't know what I'm talking about, Diddy is DIDDY. You just go look it up on the internet. Correct. As you're saying, Square 4, we don't want to get involved until it comes to us. Yes. Paul Messiah, Diddy Day will run till night judgment. Catch it. Yeah. I am telling you, folks, if you know how to pray, there are people who I know of somebody over a year, they want to speak to me, but they're so scared for their life. It's not easy. Please pray for the victims and pray for exposure. Now, I'm going to, okay. All right. So Shakwani was supposed to come on to talk to us about all the different activities. Dave, do we have some activities that's happening in Independence? And so I want to use the opportunity to tell our viewers about what's happening. I believe that this Friday, November 1st, there is a line that is going to be at the DLP headquarters, and they had this out today to the general media. So when you ask me why are you promoting it, it was brought CBC, it was called, Starcom was called, Barbados Today was called, and I am here on YouTube. I'm an independent broadcaster, and I'm carrying what's happening at the DLP. Okay, just like everybody else. Because I know a lot of you love to, oh, she's all into DLP. No, I'm carrying it like everybody else. They're doing something, and I'm announcing it. Good. So, Sunset and Chill Social is a casual cocktail evening of friends, fun, and games for members and the public. So all of this is happening at the Democratic Labour Party headquarters right there on George Street. And they're celebrating independence. Independence is being celebrated, right? And then on Sunday, November 3rd, there is a St. Philip North branch meeting open to all members and the public. That is happening on November 3rd on Sunday. And there's a panel discussion on the 8th. So it's a lot of things that they're looking. They're looking at the Democratic League of Women. The Democratic League of Women hosts a panel discussion and lecture. And then there is a Ralph Thorne Invitational cricket match. Okay, if you're playing cricket. And it's a friendly nighttime cricket match with members and supporters. That should be good. That should be good. That is happening on Saturday, November 9th. So this is the DLP celebrating independence. Okay, they're celebrating, yeah. So, okay. And then, so that's it, Dave, or is there another page of it? Oh, there's a public meeting discussing the burning issues important to all of Barbados. That is going to be Sunday, November 17th. And I suspect that is happening at George Street Auditorium. There's a road tennis exhibition. Ooh, that's what day of the week is that? A Tuesday? Good. I don't have a show. I want to go to that. I know my husband loves that, so he might go to that. I would love to go to that. Yeah, I want to go to that road tennis. I hope Dave is going to go. Then there's the Sunset Chills and Social. Again, it's another Friday, and that is going to be there too. And then they have an Independence Church service on the Sunday. And where is it going to be? Christ Church Parish Church. Oh, it's going to be at the Christ Church Parish Church. They're having their Independence Church service. All right? Yeah? And correct, we're celebrating Independence Day. Then Independence Family Luncheon. Okay. And they are selling tickets for that. So it's packed. It's a packed. You can't say you're not able to celebrate independence. Those of you, you know that they're doing this like a milky thing, where they're not telling us whether it's a republic we're celebrating or we're celebrating independence. You want to celebrate independence? You can go to any of these activities, okay? Because they're open to the public. Independence panel discussion on the Tuesday. Led by DLP luminaries and members. So they're going to have that on a Tuesday night. And then they have bingo night. Ooh. On the Thursday, open to members, families, and the community. This is a lot of activities. Will you have conkies? Somebody said no. I'll say I want my conkies. We're not finished yet. they're making up for last year and the year before when we didn't celebrate independence. Wow. You can't complain. They have a sunset chill again on the Fridays. They seem to have sunset chill and pre-independence social. And then they have DLP St. Thomas branch early morning annual walk. Really? Breakfast and refreshments available, only open to the public. Wow, you do a walk like I wonder what they mean by that. If it's an actual like a hike. I love that. Okay, so then they have a cocktail, conversations, and art exhibition. What I tell you, a semi-formal gala evening celebrating independence members, celebrating birthdays will be recognized. Those who are celebrating birthdays, okay. Art, essay, and photo competition, winners announced, and it's open to the public. Wow, and they have tickets for that. And is that all day, or they have more? This is they're not joking at all. It's a lot of activities. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. And I'm sure if you check their website, you will find a lot more of the you'll find flyers will come out, and I would say support the all the activities that are celebrating independence. Because you know that they're trying to get rid of us saying the word independence. If it's left up to this government, all they want us to support is republic, when the people have said to them, keep independence going and let us celebrate Republic Day on another day. But we have not heard anything, because this government wants is what this government is going to have. Right? What this government wants is what this government is going to have. And they're going to have, they're determined to have their way. Yes, happy independence, Barbados. So if you want to celebrate independence, you should find one of these activities and celebrate it, or whoever is celebrating independence in Barbados, and celebrate independence. Yeah? Yes. So folks, get out and celebrate. I think there's one there that have a cookout. Yeah, Independence Family Luncheon. So they have flyers to all of them. This is the flyer for this one. And I hope Shakwani will come on and talk about the different things at some point. I know she's at another meeting and so on. Health and Recreation Day. Now, I like this day because if you make it bigger, I'm going to make it a little bigger, and you will see the last thing here. They have a cook-off. There's a friendly cook-off, members, friendly cook-off competition. That's wonderful. Okay, I love that kind of thing. So it's going to be good. They seem like they have some great things. Flea market, health checks, family fun. Listen, it's independence, y'all. It's independence. It's independence. And instead of complaining, let's do something. Okay, do something. Okay, so these are some of the things that are happening. I know that there's some things that are happening. And again, where is the cricket match going to be? Can anybody answer that? Dave, see if you find a poster for the cricket match. Where is the cricket match going to be? Let's see if we find that. Yes, I want to go to the cricket match. I want to go to the road tennis, although I can't play it, but my husband plays the road tennis. I want to go to the cricket match, and I want to go to the cook-off. I like that. And more than likely the church service. It sounds good. Yes. Yes. I think it's good. I think it's. What do you all think about these independence activities? Let me get some thoughts from you all. Shakwani is not here to promote it. So I'm asking you in the next 5 minutes, tell me what you want. What do you all think about what you're seeing and hearing that is happening? Are you going to support it? First, what do you think about it? Okay, Tyrone is saying that they're going to all the events. Okay, I can't promise I'm going to all events, so I'm going to go to some. Yes, and um, what do you all think of the different events? And are you going to be attending? Anybody attending? And none of you call and tell me, but if CBC can carry this and Barbados Today can carry it and Starcom can carry it, I can carry it as well. Okay? And more than likely I will go at some of these events and try to do a live from there or something once they allow me. Okay? Because I am media and I can do that. Not because the government media is not covering what any of the other parties doing, means that if I cover it, I am for that party. You understand? They should be doing what I am doing. That's what needs to happen, but they're not, because they're partisan. They are partisan. Yeah, I don't hear anybody. Only Teroni and Teroni say he's going. Nobody else. Is it that we? You know what I find is that we will come on here and say they're doing nothing for independence. Don't we do that? We come on and we say nobody's doing anything for independence. And you have a whole calendar of events here, and I only see one person say that they're going to anything. Or is it that we're just a people of complainers? We just complain? Remember, this is where the loyal opposition, right? We're the loyal opposition. So we don't just complain because somebody hit you, you're going to say, oh, you're going to complain, right? But we're going to go a little further. And when you go out and you support these events, it's a vote for independence and saying, I want to celebrate independence. I want the prime minister, the government to go back and look at what they're doing. And what I want is I want to have a separate day for Republic Day. And I want to keep Independence Day as Independence Day. It's a vote for it. Somebody said the most exciting is a cricket match. Okay. That they see there. Okay. Only 2 persons responding. And we had near 900 people on. Very interesting, isn't it? Folks, let us not just be complainers, but if we want to celebrate independence and their independence activities that's going on, go out and celebrate. Yeah, bring the children, the family things, and celebrate. Okay, good. So then we will get Shakwani on. I'm sure she'll do a much better job than I have done to talk about the various events. Okay, all right, folks. I want to thank you so much for joining me here tonight. I thought we had a great show. Did you enjoy the show tonight? Oh, Fabian Yard, you're right. I'll be at the cookout too. I'll be at the... Listen, did you all know that I want a cookout? Let me talk. Let me talk. Did you all know I did my honey ginger chicken and they said it was a celebrity cookout, okay? Put on by the NCF. That's when they were friends with me and they invited me to cook. And I did my honey ginger chicken, and I won right there at the Garfield Sobers gymnasium. I did my honey ginger chicken and I was a winner. I beat Stephen Lashley because he won the year before, because Stephen Lashley can cook too. He did his what he did again, he did cuckoo and flying fish and something, and I beat him. I beat up Stephen Lashley and all the others. And I came home as a winner. Yeah. So, yes. Dale who says he will be attending. Kathy's going to the thing. Nigel says this is fostering a spirit of nationalism. That's good. Marvin Allen's going to. We're going to see at the cricket match to Marvin. And I will see Dale and so on. And I will try to carry as much of them as we can because sometimes we complain. And then when the things are happening, we have to support. Yes, you've got to support the thing. And you don't have to be DLP to support. What we're defending is independence. That's how I see it. If you can't go to the George Street Auditorium because it's DLP, it means that you're partisan. Yeah? It means that you're partisan, that you can't go there for an event, you're partisan. Yeah. So, folks, thank you for joining. Remember, if you're interested in donating to the little girl who needs a liver transplant, you can send me a message and don't send any money to our account for that, please. I know some of you already have our account. Please do not send any money to our account for it. Or what you're going to do, you're sending me a message, a WhatsApp message from me to send you the details of how to give to that little girl. But don't send any money to our account for the little girl because we are not authorized to collect any money for the little girl who has a who needs a liver transplant. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to ask you, please don't do that, but you can WhatsApp me. And that is at 246-236-7000. Easy, 236-7000, area code 246. So you can WhatsApp me there and we will pass on the correct information to you. God willing, by Friday, we will have that going across the screen for everybody. Okay. All right. And keep praying. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, folks. Good night. God bless you. It's a pleasure being with you here tonight. God bless.
I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I tell you this already. I want money.
Wait, say what?
Money.
Whoa!
Money.
Yo!
I want money.
Wait, she really said that for you?
Money. I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I want money.
Whoa!
Money.
Whoa!
Money.
Yo!
Money.
You hear that?
Money.
She want money, yeah?
I want money. I want money.
You hear that? She want money, yeah?
I'm not interested in prosecuting nobody. I tell you this already. I want money. I want money.
Boy, she only care about the money. Bye, girl. Bye.
Dancers, come forward, walk out. This one I got worldwide.
Just days after former government backbencher Ralph Thorne crossed the floor, he's taken the oath of office as leader of the opposition.
Cross the floor, let me do some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side, cross the floor, cross the floor, cross the floor, let me do some more like Ralph Thorne. Wait there, Ralph Thorne. Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest trend. Everybody know link up my friend. This one designed to be
And more will be left over.
Dancing, come back again. Our turn is the latest.
Are these trips so important?
Link up my friend. This one designed to the women and men.
Yes, I'm for real, member. I am for real. Don't let me talk out your business. Don't let me talk out your business. All right.
And I can't decide, so I'm moving with the die. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. So let me do this now. Cause I'm ready to mash up the body. Oh gosh, I can mash up the body. Yes. And let me go now. Cross the floor. Cross the floor. Cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph Thorne. Ralph Thorne. On the other side. Cross the floor.
There has to be some order here.
Cross the floor. Let me do it some more like Ralph.
The Minister of Finance is not party to this present transaction, Your Honor. Ask him to keep quiet, please. And I say to you further, Mr. Speaker, that my location here is related to my conscience. I said it last year. It is well with my soul.
Take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm moving with the tide, moving with the tide. Take a wine on the right side, take a wine on the left side, and I can't decide, so I'm
is my man, so whether he cross or in cross, he will always be there for us.
I came to a point where I had to take the decision that if my philosophical and political views do not accord with those of government in terms of its legislation, in terms of its policy, the relationship becomes untenable.
Good night, everybody. Sleep well. Sleep well. Pray, 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 pray.